In a lush, sunlit meadow, a small wild rabbit diligently searches for ripe berries. Startled, it quickly scurries away, disappearing into the surrounding foliage. Overhead, a lone figure stands silhouetted against a towering mountain peak. It is a boy, distinguished by pointed ears and a long, scaled tail. With confident steps, he approaches the edge of a cliff and leaps into the valley below. As he descends, his human form begins to twist and ripple, transforming before falling. Upon impact, a massive, scaled foot with sharp claws strikes the ground. His body elongates and reshapes into a majestic, serpentine dragon. Nearby, a rabbit senses the creature's immense power and freezes in terror. The dragon's reflection appears vividly in the eye of a stealthy tiger lurking nearby. A rustling emerges from rocky terrain, revealing a leafy rabbit caught in the creature's grasp, pleading for mercy. The dragon remains unmoved, stating plainly that it intends to eat its prey. It unveils its ruthless purpose with jaws wide open, making its predatory intent unmistakably clear. With a sickening crunch, the dragon begins devouring the rabbit, flesh tearing as bones crack under the savage feast. When it finishes, the sound of gnawing echoes through the wilderness. Later, the dragon encounters a colossal tiger. The tiger's paw twitches, tense with anticipation. Both predators lock eyes in a fierce stare, a low growl rumbling from the tiger's throat. In a narrow gorge, the two stand poised for battle, embodying raw power and dominance. The tiger lets out a guttural growl directed at the dragon's face. Without hesitation, the dragon lunges forward, teeth baring in a threatening snarl. It leaps into the air with a mighty rush, wobbling briefly before committing fully. Its jaws clamp tightly around the tiger's powerful neck. The tiger strikes back, sinking its fangs into the dragon's flank. An anguished cry escapes the dragon as the tiger's teeth bite deep. The creature thrashes violently, caught in a brutal counterattack. The dragon stumbles back, dazed from the ferocious blow. Their clash echoes through the wild landscape. The tiger's claws rake deep into the dragon's side, while it relentlessly gnaws at the dragon's leg, fighting through the tough hide. The tiger seems to feel some pain from its own wounds in the process. Ultimately, the boy, seeing himself defeated, pleads for a swift end before being consumed. Surprisingly, the tiger's fierce expression shifts into one of astonishment. It begins to shimmer and transform, revealing a stunning woman with long, flowing hair emerging from the tiger's form. She leans over the defeated boy, her figure now fully visible. The boy looks up at her, his face smeared and wide-eyed. She gazes down at him with an inscrutable expression. Then, in a gentle act of kindness, she licks his wounds clean. Exhausted and injured, he succumbs to fatigue and collapses at her feet. Later, he awakens in a peaceful, sun-dappled forest. Fish drift lazily through the crystal-clear waters of a gentle stream. A bird chirps melodiously from a nearby branch, heralding a tranquil new environment. The chaotic battlefield has transformed into a serene woodland, embodying quiet harmony and renewal. The boy blinks, his vision sharpening as he surveys his surroundings. He finds himself leaning against a sleeping tiger inside a quiet cave. Sharp pain shoots through his injured, bandaged leg. He glances down at the makeshift dressing protecting his wound, noting its rough but functional nature. Restlessness flickers in his eyes, hinting at his desire to move forward. He rises slowly, his gaze fixed on the brightly lit cave entrance in front of him. Suddenly, he feels a firm grip on his ankle, freezing him mid-step. He gasps, startled by the sudden grasp. The tiger woman stirs from her rest, her expression serious and watchful. Her long striped tail flicks gently, a light strike against his leg. Outraged by her touch, he snaps at her, emphasizing his injury. She appears taken aback by his unexpected anger, her face shifting into a look of mild irritation. Without warning, she transforms into her full tiger form, her massive frame imposing and powerful. He meets her gaze calmly, expressing his hunger. The enormous tiger studies him with an intense, calculating stare, then quietly states that she has no intention of eating him at this moment. He snorts skeptically, scoffing at her logic that he's too small. Chiming in, he suggests she might feed him to help him grow stronger. The tiger questions this idea, raising an eyebrow. He laments that his injury leaves him unable to hunt or fly, implying he might simply perish without her aid. Her eyes narrow with resolve as she begins a stalking pursuit. She moves silently through the dense forest, hunting a creature resembling a deer. The prey spots her, eyes wide with raw fear. With a thunderous roar, the tiger unleashes her formidable call, signaling her predatory intent. The scene shifts to a wide rocky landscape, where the boy, now in the form of a dragon, waits patiently for her return. His gaze drifts upward, reflective and solitary, hinting at deep thoughts and loneliness. He murmurs quietly, contemplating whether he should keep waiting. Suddenly, he senses a presence. A paw lands nearby. Spinning around, he is startled by an unexpected figure approaching swiftly. His face shows irritation at the interruption. A pack of wolves, greedily hungry and recognizing him as a dragon, emerges eagerly. They chatter excitedly about his supposed magical abilities, tales that he finds utterly ridiculous. Calmly, he questions whether they truly believe such stories. The wolves answer that escape from their predicament is unlikely. They hold his sins against him. He sighs, lamenting that his true intentions remain unclear, and remarks he already has a client he's attending to. A gray wolf growls, warning them not to get involved. In response, the white tiger roars fiercely, asserting her dominance over the prey. Standing bipedally, she faces the snarling pack. With a swift, decisive blow, she sends one wolf soaring through the air. Another is caught in her powerful grip and crushed beneath her claws. The wolf howls in pain as its life quickly ebbs away. The remaining wolves retreat, defeated and broken, leaving the battered landscape behind. The boy observes, a look of mild surprise on his face. Nearby, a young elf-eared boy with spiky hair watches quietly, curiosity evident in his eyes. Together, the white tiger and this young boy stand their ground against the fierce pack of wolves in the rugged mountain pass. Perched on a ledge, the alpha wolf snarled fiercely, its glowing eyes filled with primal rage. Nearby, a white tiger responded with a subtle lowering of its head, issuing a low growl in defiance. In a swift motion, the wolf lunged, sinking its fangs into the tiger's neck. The tiger's maw parted in a wide gape, ready to unleash a potent counterattack. Upright once more, the tiger seized the wolf, asserting its dominance with unwavering strength. Its claws dug deep into the thick fur, locking the predator in place. With relentless force, the tiger pressed down, causing a sickening crunch that marked the wolf's end. The victorious predator's eyes shimmered with raw ferocity as it looked over the lifeless body of its enemy, claiming its territory with triumph. Meanwhile, a dragon boy stood calmly, his long tail curling behind him. Nearby, a massive wolf's paw pressed down onto the head of a fallen tiger woman, kneeling over her incapacitated form. The boy, observing her quietly, accepted that her fate was sealed and she was destined to die. The remaining wolves hovered anxiously around the battered, unconscious feline. Suddenly, one wolf burst forward with fierce determination, recalling a flashback of their leader being snatched by a feathered dragon. The captured female wolf screams for her release as the dragon carries her away through the sky. Her companions below confirm her identity as their chief. The dragon soars higher, bearing its struggling prisoner across the clouds while the pack moves swiftly, resolutely chasing after them. Their pursuit is relentless, pushing through the terrain toward the boy and his companion. In the present, the boy, now a small dragon, clears his throat softly, drawing her attention. The tiger woman, irritated by her disheveled state, shifts uncomfortably, shooting a sharp glare at her unexpected rescuer. She tenderly touches a bruise on her neck, grimacing from residual pain. From a distant ledge, the boy mocks her, joking about her being eaten, with a sly smirk that hints at his playful arrogance. He teases that he could simply fly away and leave her to her fate. She, defiant, retorts sharply, daring him to attempt to approach her in the air. Gently, in his human form, he lifts her chin, forcing her to meet his gaze. He challenges her to convince him that it would be acceptable to be devoured. Taken aback, she grabs his collar and pushes him away with force, her strength fueled by indignation. Her push causes him to stumble back, surprised by her sudden reaction. Her eyes blaze with anger as she declares her intention to eat him instead. He remains calm, mocking her outburst by questioning whether she really feels well. Frustrated, she bites into her own arm, grimacing from the pain, as if to emphasize her frustration. He counters by tapping his tail near her striped leg, then stepping on her tail in a calculated act of revenge. Her face registers shock and pain as he looks down, declaring with certainty that she is far from cute. Leaping away deftly, he offers a cryptic remark about his complicated feelings for her. His interest, he suggests, isn't the same as that for food or prey. Left behind in the silence, she can only watch him retreat, a smear of blood on her lip. Her voice trembles as she calls out his name, her words fading into the distance as he disappears from view. He lands gracefully on a narrow ledge, immediately declaring his hunger. Frustration flickers across her face as she asks if he ever thinks about anything besides food. He counters by questioning what else there is to consider. Shifting the subject, he inquires whether his initial prey managed to escape amid the chaos. With a powerful leap, he soars across the wide rocky canyon, heading into a tranquil forest scene that signals a new chapter. In the dense woodland nearby, a large white bear moves silently among the trees, its watchful eyes scanning the surroundings. It peeks cautiously from behind a trunk, eyes sharp and focused on some distant object. By a nearby stream, a dragon boy lounges comfortably, his long tail draping lazily behind him. The white bear persists in its pursuit, eyes intense and calculating. Suddenly, the paw of a colossal tiger appears on the trail, indicating new arrivals. From behind a shadowed tree, the bear observes as two powerful creatures draw nearer and converge. A title page illustrates the boy and the tiger crossing a canyon together, emphasizing their journey. In a clearing, they stand face to face, him and the striking white tiger, while the bear continues to watch silently from the shadows. As the bear prepares to depart, it emits a gentle chirping, a subtle sign of acknowledgement. The tiger woman lingers just behind the boy, a shifting presence watching over him. He gestures toward a crudely carved tiger effigy and questions its meaning. He bluntly claims it symbolizes the tiger, his tone playful yet straightforward. Smirking, he teases about locating his real prey. The woman observes him with a hint of mild irritation, unimpressed by his antics. He dramatically flops onto the ground, lamenting how foolish he feels, having been caught. Ironically, she comments that his white fur probably makes him too conspicuous. He settles by the riverbank, tail curled, while the vigilant sheet keeps watch. Nearby, a young boy with pointed ears peers into the water, a somber look on his face. A long, serpentine tail lashes through the water, creating a huge splash before vanishing beneath the surface with a thunderous ripple. Calmly, the tiger woman remarks that their target has successfully escaped. Suddenly, a magnificent white tiger appears, clutching a sizable fish in its jaws. The boy turns to the tiger with a small, grateful smile, praising its skill. The tiger gently places the fresh catch on the shore, sharing the meal with them. The boy in his dragon form and the tiger enjoy a peaceful feast together. From an unseen voice comes a description of the feathered creature as the dragon. Another voice marvels at the sight of a dragon for the very first time. Two magpies chatter, one asking if this is truly the last of its kind. The boy's hand grips a stone as he laments the sad state of affairs. Startled, the birds take wing from the tree with a loud thump. Standing beside the tiger, the boy appears somber and distant, commenting that the noise disturbs him and suggesting they should leave. A long, scaly tail gently curled around the tiger's neck symbolized their bond. As they moved through the rugged landscape, The woman inquired about his pack and whether any members remained. Anger surged within him, and he snapped that he had no idea. With that, the tiger stepped away, leaving his thrashing tail behind after the outburst. That night, they found shelter amid the craggy mountains, their refuge a hollow in a mighty tree. Within its darkness, the boy slept peacefully while the woman knelt nearby, keeping watch over him with a calm yet watchful gaze. Her face softened, showing quiet maternal care for his safety. The boy curled into sleep, his draconic tail wrapped protectively around himself. Suddenly, her tail struck the ground with a loud clatter, startling both. Inside the den, a white tiger's ear twitched, alert to the disturbance. Meanwhile, an owl perched nearby observed the scene, questioning the tiger's choice of prey, why it hesitated to devour the dragon it had captured. The bird pressed, peering down at the predator. The tiger, with a low growl, responded that its prey was still too small to eat. The owl, perched high above, scoffed at the idea of raising prey only to slaughter it later. The tiger stood upright, proclaiming that dragons could live for 1,000 years. Under the bright moonlight, the owl shook its head, remarking that a tiger's life was sadly fleeting in comparison. The owl's piercing gaze suggested a different course, simply devouring him. Elsewhere, in a shadowed den, a bare humanoid foot gently touched the ground. A figure loomed over the sleeping boy, whose long, scaled tail was wrapped snugly around his small form. The woman, her own tail hinting of feline traits, looked down with an expression both predatory and contemplative. She extended her hand, fingers hovering near the boy's neck. Leaning in, her face close to his exposed throat rather than biting, she playfully nudged his neck with her fangs, her intentions ambiguous. Then she pulled back with a soft chuckle, leaving her motives shrouded in mystery. The boy's eyes snapped open, complaining that her touch tickled. He sat up, revealing he had never truly slept. As he confronted her, he questioned whether she truly believed in the legend that dragons could live for 1,000 years. Smirking defiantly, he insisted such tales were impossible. He pressed further, asking if she would believe him if he denied it. Her expression soured as he launched into a verbal attack. He accused her of being shallow, surviving only through fighting. He questioned whether that was how she had truly lived, dismissing tigers as dull-witted creatures. Her patience snapped. She lunged forward, grabbing him roughly by the collar. Her face twisted with fury, furious at his insolence after she had tolerated his words. He shouted that she was foolish, and in response, she sank her fangs into his shoulder. He cried out in pain, struggling against her hold and insisting her bite was hurting him badly. His tail thrashed wildly as he begged her to release him. She snarled, claiming his only ability was suppressing her with some mysterious power. He returned her gaze, stunned and furious at her revelation about his true nature. Despite his shock, he continued to resist, crying out for her to stop her relentless assault. Without warning, she released him, and he gasped, desperate to catch his breath after the ordeal. Flustered, she licked her lips and questioned whether he could even keep his composure under such pressure. She wondered if his body, his very being, was unable to withstand her presence. Reaching out calmly, she grasped his twitching, scaled tail, trying to soothe him amid his agitation. Her firm hold on his tail revealed a shift in her expression, one of raw honesty and uncertainty. She voiced, with quiet vulnerability, that she knew little about his kind, about dragons. Hearing this, the boy's tension ebbing away, was taken aback by her sincere honesty. From the towering tree outside, his voice emerged, asking what her intentions were now that she knew about him. Softly, he touched the small, self-made cut on her lip, a gesture both tender and commanding. She submitted to his will, affirming she would proceed according to his wishes. With a mischievous grin, he challenged her, teasing that she might still try to devour him in the end. She studied him carefully, her face a mix of thoughtfulness and caution. Without warning, he drew her closer by the collar of her top. Leaning in, He whispered that he would share only one thing with her. He embraced her tightly, declaring he was no longer a child. Her eyes widened in disbelief, cheeks flushing as her mind raced, caught off guard by his boldness. Seated apart, he asked whether she still regarded him as a mere boy. Meanwhile, a white owl took flight from the branch, its wings beating through the night air. As it soared, the owl viewed the tiger as utterly foolish, a creature oblivious to the dangers lurking around. In a sun-drenched forest clearing, hooves like those of deer hammered against the ground as creatures fled. A group of kangaroos bounded swiftly through the bushes, startled by an unseen threat. A long, scaly tail swung through the trees, scattering the fleeing animals in all directions. From the underbrush, a brilliant white tiger burst forth, chasing down prey with lethal precision. With powerful leaps and claws extended, the tiger targeted a tiny deer. The deer's companions froze, paralyzed by fear, helpless as they witnessed the chaos. The tiger brought the struggling deer to the ground with its enormous weight, finally sinking a decisive bite to claim its meal. The deer's lifeless legs lay sprawled across the forest floor as the tiger began to feast. But their meal was interrupted by the sudden arrival of a serpentine dragon, sliding silently into the clearing. Left behind in the grass, the remains of the deer grew cold, abandoned after the predatory display. The tiger and dragon now rested side by side, at peace within the clearing. The tiger carefully groomed itself, licking its massive paw clean with deliberate attention. The dragon lay still, its ancient gaze fixed steadily on its companion. The young dragon man inquired why the tiger was licking its paw, voicing curiosity. The tiger explained it was trying to hide its scent from future prey, a necessity for survival. The boy, sporting his own reptilian tail, watched with understanding and admiration as he noted the tiger's sleek, pristine fur. Then, suddenly, the tiger recoiled with a fierce roar, warning the boy not to touch it. The tiger revealed that its fur, seemingly soft and beautiful, was also its greatest vulnerability, a weakness to protect. Intrigued, the boy reached out gently and pressed his hand against the tiger's warm, soft belly, captivated by its texture and appearance. The tiger flinched, its expression more annoyed than furious, as if mildly irritated. Gently, he rubbed his belly, as if questioning whether his heart was hidden there. Gradually, the tension in the animal's pose eased, and it began to enjoy the soothing touch. The boy moved to the tiger's neck, identifying another sensitive spot and scratching gently. Observing his experiment's success, he smirked at the result. The predator relaxed completely, paws relaxed and exposed, while the boy asked casually what it was doing. With a confident grin, he declared that being touched felt surprisingly good after all. The tiger responded with a deep, contented purr of satisfaction. Later, a massive paw pressed firmly into the forest floor as the tiger moved forward. The boy, riding comfortably on its broad back, enjoyed their quiet journey through the woods. Suddenly, the tiger froze, muscles tense, sensing impending danger. From the thicket behind emerged another tiger, eyes fierce and confrontational. Its stance challenged and hostile, it made its presence unmistakably clear. The boy's companion roared loudly, asserting its dominance and warning off the intruder. Startled by the sudden threat, the boy quickly spotted a dead bird on the ground and grabbed it. He leapt down from the tiger's back, landing with his makeshift meal in hand. The two big cats locked eyes, each claiming the territory as their own. The intruder roared defiantly, making it clear it intended to seize the land. The defending tiger responded with a mighty roar, signaling its intention to maintain control. Instantly, chaos erupted as the two titans clashed, claws tearing through the air in furious combat. They reared up on hind legs, roaring fiercely as they fought for supremacy. One managed to rake its claws across the other's face, drawing blood. The defending tiger displayed formidable strength, eyes blazing with determination, and brought its rival crashing to the ground with overwhelming force. It pinned the intruder beneath, sinking a final, decisive bite into its neck. From a safe distance, the boy watched anxiously as the fight reached its climax. The vanquished tiger cried out, desperately pleading with its opponent to pause, conceding defeat. Its rival responded with a victorious roar, demanding its surrender. With lowered head and trembling, the defeated beast finally acknowledged its loss. The victorious white tiger watched over the scene, its gaze steady and unwavering. As the defeated animal slowly rose, it prepared to retreat and accept its defeat. Meanwhile, in a different part of the forest, the same creature sat quietly, subdued and lost in thought. Suddenly, a shocking transformation overtook it. Its paw shifted and reshaped into a human foot, the change traveling up its arm to reveal a torso clad in modern clothing. Fully transformed into a human, the elf-eared man looked sheepishly at his conqueror. A beautiful woman praised his strength, admitting she found his power intimidating. Ogle, the tiger man, straightforwardly suggested they should have offspring together. A young dragon boy gasped in surprise at the blunt proposal. Ogle expressed his desire for her lineage, his fangs shining with eagerness. Akare considered his mention of her potent bloodline, realizing the significance. Hacker thoughtfully stroked her chin, pondering the unusual suggestion. Genta, the dragon boy, held up a shattered piece of his tail, nervously watching as Ogle grew impatient, urging her to accept his proposal quickly. Genta reminded Hackare that she was already caring for him. Meanwhile, Ogle cruelly suggested that Genta might serve as nourishment for their future offspring. Genta shot a furious glare at Ogle, his face an expression of unrestrained anger. He sharply reminded Ogle that he had been defeated by Hackare. Watching intently, Hackare absorbed Genta's reasoning with a serious expression, understanding the importance of choosing a partner stronger than Ogle. A sudden realization crossed Ogle's face as he grasped her point, and he slammed his hand down in acceptance of the challenge to grow stronger. Promising to train and return, Ogle vanished into the rustling foliage in his tiger form. With the suitor gone, Genta approached Hackare, who was seated on a rock. He scolded her for acting impulsively, his tail flicking with irritation. Genta confided that he had once believed she needed strength as well. Hackare expressed her deep desire to leave behind many descendants and to weave numerous lives together. Genta's gaze lowered, and a heavy sadness clouded his face as he quietly sighed in understanding. His eyes drifted to a skeleton nearby, symbolizing their predatory nature. Hackare questioned whether his kind was different from her own. Genta affirmed that he had no intention of abandoning his lineage, holding a broken piece of his tail as a symbol that it ended with him. Turning to Hackare, he reminded her that he was a dragon. She listened, her expression softening with concern as she processed his words, and he directly asked if she despised dragons. His voice was thick with self-hatred as he admitted he loathed himself for being a dragon. Curious, Hackare gently asked why he harbored such negativity. He looked away, releasing a soft sigh, unwilling to explain further. Raising the broken tail fragment to his mouth, he declared he would not share it. Observing him, Hackare's brow furrowed with worry and confusion. Suddenly, he leapt into a tree, insisting his burden was unrelated to her. However, or countered that continuing one's lineage was a vital duty to the pack. In a final act of defiance, he bit down on his tail tip and snapped it off completely, discarding it as he firmly said no. A young man with horns appeared suddenly, capturing Hackare's lips in a bold kiss. His long serpentine tail whipped through the air with a sudden swish. Hackare stood there, stunned and confused by this intimate gesture. Smirking, he pulled away and remarked that they were continuing right where they left off. The scene shifted to a peaceful forest where the boy rested atop a sleeping tiger. The majestic white tiger emitted a deep, contented purr. The boy stirred, sitting up on the tiger's back. A close-up of his eye revealed a flicker of profound sadness. He looked downward, face clouded with unspoken thoughts. As he reflected, he turned away from the sleeping beast, appearing solitary and contemplative. A flashback appeared, showing a tiny claw breaking free from an eggshell. A newly hatched dragon chirped feebly as it entered the world. Below the watchful gaze of its enormous parent, the tiny hatchling trembles, its petite form pale against the cold, icy tone of the parent's remark. The parent, a colossal dragon, eyes its offspring with a detached and predatory gaze reflected in a vast, reptilian eye. The hatchling looks upward, startled and innocently crying out. Yet the parent declares with finality that it will still devour the young creature, flicking its tail dismissively to strike. Suddenly, the scene shifts to a rugged landscape, where a boy lies collapsed, gasping for breath as pain surges through him. His clawed fingers clutch the earth desperately, fighting to regain composure amid an onslaught of memories. Beads of sweat trace down his brow as his breathing steadies, a flicker of calm piercing through his distress. His face, once twisted in torment, now bears a weighty, silent sorrow. For a fleeting moment, he forgets his suffering, lifting his gaze to observe his surroundings. Before him lies Hakra, unconscious, stretched out on the ground. A close-up captures her peaceful, unaware face, her striped tail lying motionless nearby. Suddenly, relentless rain begins to pour, drenching the bleak wasteland in a heavy curtain of water. The boy reaches out, allowing cold raindrops to fill his palm, then clenches his fist with resolve. Determined, he stands and steps into the storm, his expression hardening with purpose. As he ventures into the wilderness, his body undergoes a startling transformation. His feet morph into deadly claws, and a serpentine form takes shape. Before long, he is a majestic dragon soaring high above mist-covered mountains. Flying through stormy skies, he follows the faint sound of chirping birds, his scaled, elongated body weaving through rain-slicked trees. He comes upon a nest trembling with hungry, frightened chicks. In his human guise, he stares at them with a vacant look, driven by instinct rather than thought. Without hesitation, he seizes one of the helpless chicks, dropping it into his mouth and consuming it swiftly, his gaze vacant and distant. The remaining chicks huddle together, mourning their missing sibling, as he glides low over the forest floor in search of more prey. His sharp eyes catch sight of a pair of weasel-like creatures, and he swoops down with lightning speed. His long, scaled body blurs in motion as he captures his prey with deadly precision. His large, clawed feet strike the ground, rain still pouring around him. Having feasted, he perches atop a tall, rain-drenched cliff, arching his long neck back and opening his maw wide. With a deep, mournful cry, he sends a powerful sound echoing through the mountains, ravaged by storm and sorrow alike. Far from these tumultuous scenes, a long-haired woman with pointed ears awakens with a soft gasp, lying tangled in the muddy earth. Disoriented, she pushes herself up, revealing her striped tiger tail. As she gazes out across the barren, rain-slicked landscape, her intentions unreadable. As she steps forward, her foot splashes into the flooded ground, leading her into a dense, dripping forest. Every sense is heightened. Feeling the relentless rain drumming against her face, she looks upward, sensing an unseen presence above. Her features twist as fangs emerge, and her form begins to shift with an ominous transformation. Her limbs transform seamlessly into the powerful, striped legs of a magnificent tiger, her human form dissolving into a majestic predator. Confidently, she moves across the rain-soaked forest floor, her paws silent on the wet earth. Pausing thoughtfully, she lowers herself to listen to the wild symphony surrounding her, every sound carrying a message from the untamed wilderness. Suddenly, her head swivels sharply as a faint scent drifts in on the breeze, alerting her to new movement nearby. In the underbrush, a tiny serpent briefly blocks her path, its presence a fleeting obstacle on her journey. She settles beside a stream, her purpose clear in her stance. Determination radiates from her poised form. Her muscular paws grip the slick rocks, prepared for ascent despite the relentless downpour, driven by her unwavering mission. Her eyes narrow sharply, focus fixed on her target as she probes the darkness with keen senses. A small ferret-like creature darts from the rocks, unexpectedly catching her attention. She gazes downward with a calm, non-threatening posture, offering no immediate threat. The little animal hisses defensively, bracing itself to flee or fight as it emits a fierce cry and bares tiny, sharp teeth. She remains composed, her body language conveying peace, signaling her harmless intent. The creature then inquires if she has seen a dragon nearby, pointing confidently in a specific direction with its paw. Her piercing eyes convey reassurance, making known she harbors no hostility. The creature stretches, indicating it faces north, providing her with a vital clue. She interprets the direction, understanding the hint in the creature's stance. Following this lead, she begins to climb a steep cliff slick with rain, her movements resolute. Reaching a high plateau, a flicker of surprise crosses her face as her form shifts. Her legs revert to human shape, her bare feet touching the wet ground once more. In her human form, she stands firm, her gaze intensely fixed on a figure farther away atop a lofty peak. The figure is a boy, and he looks down at her with a mixture of weariness and emotion, his face streaked with rain or tears. She approaches him, her eyes welling with compassion and understanding. The boy is precariously perched at the very edge of the cliff, visibly tense. He quickly turns, accusing her of neglecting her watchful duty, a teasing smirk on his lips as he references their predator-prey dynamic. She absorbs his teasing, her face a complex blend of feelings. Suddenly, a colossal white tiger appears, seizing the boy by his collar with effortless strength. It lifts him upright, ignoring his startled protests about being released. Later, the tiger nudges the boy gently, indicating he should follow. He protests again, insisting he can walk alone, but the tigerish creature guides him towards the dark mouth of a nearby cave. Inside, the great beast shakes off the cold rain from its thick fur. The boy jerks back in surprise at its sudden roughness. With a gentle but firm paw, the tiger draws him close, explaining that the night air turns colder and offering its warmth. The boy looks up with wide, accepting eyes, finding solace in this unexpected refuge. Outside, the rain continues to fall softly, leaves dripping steadily, marking the passage of time. The boy falls into restful sleep, resting his head against the tiger's side, feeling safe. When he awakens, he listens carefully to the tiger, still nestled nearby, comforted by its presence. The tiger stirs, its face troubled as it confesses to having a haunting nightmare, a terrifying vision of being swallowed by a dragon. The tiger unveils a brutal truth. Dragons are cannibals, consuming even their own infants without remorse. He cannot comprehend such senseless violence directed against kin, and his despair is palpable as he realizes this savage trait might explain his species' decline. In self-reflection, he considers the foolishness of dragons. Suddenly, the tiger playfully nips at the boy's head, startling him and drawing an irritated response. The boy makes it clear he dislikes being roughhoused and reminds the creature that he is not a tiger himself. A new figure emerges, a woman with a scaly arm reminiscent of a dragon's limb, calmly asking what the boy needs her to do. Gazing up at her, he feels both mesmerized and a little intimidated, remaining silent as he contemplates her words. She gracefully lowers herself, encouraging him to speak, and he simply asks for her warmth with earnest sincerity. Her gaze lingers on him, tension thick in the air as she leans closer, her face mere inches from his. Their eyes lock, deep in silent understanding. Nearby, a white tiger sleeps peacefully, unaware of the unfolding scene. Above, a massive eagle perches on a branch, surveying the land, then spreads its wings and soars into the sky, gliding over towering rocky canyons. It journeys across a barren wilderness before landing gracefully atop a rugged mountain. There, it joins another eagle beside an enormous, ancient, serpent-like dragon. A voice wonderingly questions if these could be the long-lost thoughts of the dragon. By a clear stream, a female dragon gently tends to her ear, while two other tigers approach casually, joking about whether she has eaten the small dragon. They exchange affectionate head rubs and lick each other, strengthening their bond, then splash playfully in the water. One nudges the other, and their playful antics escalate, with one leaping onto the other's back. From behind, the female dragon's scaly tail quietly slithers out, coiling around a tiger's neck in a sudden, brutal ambush. Meanwhile, the boy confronts a stranger, demanding to know their purpose. The male dragon's person reacts with surprise that the boy has survived, glaring back with defiance and clutching a severed tiger tail as a warning. He cautions the newcomer to keep their distance unless they have a valid reason. The stranger insists he does. He bears critical news. Another dragon has been spotted nearby. He mentions she is a female, based on information from birds. The boy dismisses gossip, doubting bird reports, yet the stranger admits he has never seen her personally. He describes her as having 4 horns and 4 whiskers. This triggers a mental image of the formidable dragon. Curious, the boy demands her whereabouts, and the stranger reveals she is believed to reside in the southeast. In the meantime, a firm grip seizes another's wrist decorated with a thick black bracelet, and the young dragon pleads urgently for an escape, desperate to flee with his companion. His companion, adorned with a tiger's tail, glances back and inquires about their destination. With his fangs bared, he dismisses the importance of the location, stressing only that it must be far away. A newcomer's protests against leaving her territory arise, while the boy argues that staying poses greater risks. The newcomer questions his desire to escape, implying that he should naturally want to reproduce. The dragon boy's face darkens at this, recognizing that such a mindset might attract more prey, regardless of the other's presence. He makes another effort to guide the woman away, urging her to follow. A moment of clarity flashes across the newcomer's face as he steps forward with decisive intent. Raising his hand, he orders the pair to halt. With his fangs visible, he boldly commands that they leave the white tiger behind. Floating in confusion, the dragon boy questions why, as the man proclaims she will be his mate. The boy challenges this notion, pointing out that other tigers exist, but the man insists he desires only her. Crossing his arms, he explains that her extraordinary strength makes her his chosen partner. His expression softens with longing as he adds that she is also quite beautiful. The woman, her form entwined with a dragon's, states that this is of utmost importance. Her gaze remains inscrutable and serene, carrying an unspoken depth beyond words. Her thoughts are her own. The dragon boy's face hardens with fierce, protective resolve, radiating unwavering determination. Placing a hand over her heart, the woman quietly accepts the challenge on behalf of her companion. Perched atop a rock, the boy issues a direct challenge to his rival, a duel to be held at a tall, pointed crag. The first to reach it would be declared the victor. The newcomer agrees to these terms, noting that it would be meaningless if the boy took to the skies. The boy then adds his own condition: if the newcomer loses, he must relinquish his claim. Smirking confidently, the rival scoffs at the possibility of defeat at the hands of a ground-bound dragon. A white tiger sits peacefully beside a tree, seemingly in agreement with the duel's terms. A smaller tiger begins climbing a rugged rock face, claws digging in for grip. Meanwhile, a larger tiger lies on its back, softly chuckling at its own amusement. With a stretch of its powerful limbs, it signals the start of the race. In a flash, the smaller tiger charges forward, colliding with the larger one with startling force. Triumphantly perched on a rock, the smaller tiger boasts of its overwhelming strength. Resting by a river, the tiny tiger's ears suddenly prick at a distant sound. From the direction of the crag, a thunderous roar echoes across the landscape. Nearby, a woman with a serpentine tail walks through the woods, accompanied by a boy with a striped tiger tail. She calls out, accusing her companion of fleeing from the challenge, her voice tinged with reproach. As the boy darts into the trees, she reveals she never intended to compete. She halts her pursuit, her feet planted firmly on the grassy ground, and watches him go with a resigned expression. Her face hardens into a stern expression as she reprimands him for his selfish actions. Turning sharply, the boy erupts with outrage and disbelief at her accusation. He reminds her that it was she who proposed the match, clarifying he only agreed to eliminate the other man. His expression darkens as he admits he lied about his true motives. Resting his hand on a nearby tree, he dismisses her judgment, asserting he doesn't care. Walking away bitterly, he suggests she should have stayed with the other man instead. His anger bubbling over, he confronts her with another sharp remark. Suddenly, a massive scaly tail grips the woman's hair from behind. The boy lectures her, emphasizing that for a dragon, victory isn't solely determined by brute strength. The white tiger's face appears, lost in thought about her being something more. Now on the ground, the boy bites the tiger's tail, prompting her to scold him for his childish retort. The scene widens, revealing the boy and the tiger are near a colossal, slithering serpent. The boy observes calmly, almost calculating, as he assesses this new threat. The white tiger regards the snake's feathery tail with suspicion. As a distraction, the boy quickly stands and dashes into the forest. A rustling noise from the treetops hints at unexpected movement. The tiger looks up, startled by the disturbance overhead. Suddenly, the boy lands firmly on the tiger's back. Hesitating briefly, the tiger pushes into the underbrush and starts to advance. Perched atop the tiger, the boy appears utterly confused, questioning the situation. The realization hits. He had been lifted by the enormous tail of a giant serpent. The snake's ancient, unblinking eyes peer from the shadows of the forest. With a swift snap, the snake's head yanks the boy away from the tiger. The tiger watches in shock and alarm as the boy disappears. The snake's tail slips into the foliage while the tiger leaps into the woods, fiercely chasing its prey. It moves with reckless speed, crashing through trees as it roars in pursuit. At the edge of a towering waterfall, the tiger unleashes a fierce roar after its target. The scene shifts to the calm pool at the waterfall's base. Here, a quiet voice reassures that everything is resolved now. The boy rests gently within the serpent's coils, which note his predicament. Looking up, he recognizes his captor, confusion evident on his face. Hekato greets him softly, remarking that it has been quite some time. Wrapped securely around him, the massive snake admits it has longed to see him again. The majestic waterfall provides a dramatic backdrop for their unusual reunion. Holding the boy carefully, Hekato observes that he seems to be doing well, though noting he has grown a bit. The serpent then demands to be released, questioning whether he wouldn't simply run away if freed. The boy's blunt reply leaves the serpent with no doubt about his honesty, and a soft, knowing chuckle escapes the great creature. Hekato murmurs that before he can make a quick escape, there's another matter to attend to. A deep, threatening growl echoes from the rocks above the waterfall. A white tiger emerges, descending the rocks to face the coiled serpent below. Hekato comments coolly on the tiger's persistence as it growls and draws closer. As the tiger prepares to pounce, it suddenly stumbles and collapses on the slick, wet stones, claws slipping helplessly. Now in human form, the woman sways, realizing the snake's poison is taking hold. Hekato calmly informs her that soon her movements will cease entirely. A dark, venomous bite mark stains her ankle, her face etched with pain and fatigue as the venom spreads through her. She clenches her teeth tightly, sweat trickling down her forehead as she fights the torment. Inside the snake's coils, Hekato watches his friends suffer with horror, overwhelmed by helplessness. Her strength finally fades. Her head droops before she collapses face down onto the rocks, unconscious. Hekato turns its immense head toward Hekato with a glint of satisfaction, suggesting with a sinister hiss that they should eat him next. A clawed, reptilian foot slides along Hekato's coiled body, intending to strike. Instead, it crashes down onto the serpent's head with a thunderous thud. In that moment, Hekato transforms into a small, feathered dragon, urgently asking how he can save the woman. Hekt, flicking its tongue, observes that the boy has truly grown. The tiny dragon hisses furiously, demanding answers and feeling both anger and desperation. A voice questions his motives, pondering why he would want to help the tiger that had intended to eat him. An ancient feathered eye watches silently, its pupil reflecting a bleak, desolate landscape. The massive serpent gently scratches the small dragon, calling him an odd child. Within a barren cave, the slender dragon ponders the fate of the tiger. Suddenly, a colossal serpent's head appears, flipping the question back to the smaller creature. Its clawed foot rests thoughtfully on its own head, lost in reflection. Hakadu is reminded that he already knows nothing more can be done. The woman, unconscious and exhausted, has reached her limit on the ground beneath them. With a soft whoosh, the great serpent turns away dismissively. His patterned tail lashes out with astonishing speed as it departs. Hakadu kneels beside his lifeless friend, her tiger tail still beneath her. Hiko, the mighty serpent, questions Hakadu's attachment to her. Kneeling in grief, Hakito clutches her limp hand tenderly, an act of final compassion. His hair obscures his face as he fights back tears, overwhelmed by mourning. Looking up desperately, he begs the serpent for some form of aid, if it possesses any. Hekato, the formidable serpent, observes the scene from afar, flicking its forked tongue as its ancient eyes drift into silent contemplation. Hakadu rises with a renewed sense of purpose, convinced he might hold the key to saving her. A spark of determination ignites his expression as a new plan takes shape in his mind. He proposes to Hekato the idea of using the serpent's own blood as an antidote. How could he expand on this concept, especially considering the legend of all-powerful dragon blood? Hekato recalls the first time it bit Hakadu, aiming to capture him. A flashback reveals Hekato's draconic form, completely unaffected by the serpent's venom. Despite multiple bites, Hakadu wriggled free, displaying complete immunity. Hekato listens keenly, his face serious and resolute. He affirms that dragon blood is at least resistant to the serpent's poison. Hakadu, however, remains skeptical, arguing there's no guarantee it will work. Time feels scarce, and he warns they are losing precious moments. Frustrated, he transforms into his dragon form, prepared to act. He bites deeply into his own forearm, his fangs breaking the skin. Hekato, observing this act of self-harm, keeps an unblinking gaze on him. Kneeling beside the unconscious woman, Hakadu brings his bleeding arm to her lips. His voice trembles with desperation as he urges her to drink. Pressing his wound to her mouth, he pleads for her to act quickly. His face is tense, etched with focus as he seeks to administer hope. He coils his long reptilian tail behind him as he kneels. Drawing blood from his own wound, he prepares to transfer it. He leans close, his mouth mere inches from her unconscious face. Pale and unresponsive, she remains unaware of his efforts. In a tender, almost desperate act, he kisses her, transferring his vital blood directly into her. Withdrawing slightly, his expression carries exhaustion mixed with worry. He encourages her softly to swallow the life-saving fluid. A faint gulping sound signifies her unconscious response. He watches her face intently, searching for signs of hope. Her hand, which he had held, grows limp as he lets it go. Their bodies, intertwined in this act of sacrifice, tell a silent story of desperation and hope. From nearby, Hekato observes the scene with an ancient, inscrutable gaze. The serpent comments on the strangeness of everything. How Hakadu, exhausted from giving his blood, still stands strong. He unwraps Hekato's tail from his arm, dismissing the other's remarks. Leaning in close, he brushes his lips against her in a final, tender gesture. The waterfall crashes behind them, framing the scene's tense atmosphere. Hakadu remains hopeful, wiping his mouth and waiting for her revival. The woman lies still, blood at her lips, a testament to his efforts. "Do you really think she'll wake up soon if the blood works?" Hakadu asks, unsure. Hekato admits he has no idea how long it might take, emphasizing uncertainty. A lone wolf's howl marks the passing of time as darkness descends. Hekato observes the night deepening, realizing it has arrived. The serpent and the dragon boy stand vigil, silently watching over the unconscious woman, awaiting her awakening. A mysterious figure emerges, a woman with the lower half of a serpent. She clarifies that Hekato's name signifies their shared peace. Her words suggest Hakadu must hold a special place in her heart, hinting that he may have hurt himself to protect an ally. Ignoring her, Hakadu steps into the shadows, intent on his path. The serpent woman questions his destination, her tone defiant and teasing as she mocks whether he plans to leave the tiger behind with her. Her taunt stops him in his tracks, prompting him to turn and face her directly. He issues a stern warning. If the tiger is harmed, he will retaliate with lethal force, vowing to tear the serpent woman apart if she injures his friend. Unfazed, she emits a soft chuckle, noting he remains unchanged as she slithers away. Meanwhile, the woman lying motionless begins to show signs of life. Her neck twitches slightly, disturbing the stillness. Gentle movements in her fingers indicate her consciousness returning. Her eye flickers open, the dragon's blood having fulfilled its purpose. The great serpent, Hika, welcomes the revived woman. Suddenly, she transforms into a magnificent white tiger. She surveys her surroundings, instinctively searching for her rescuer. Her roar demands answers about the dragon's whereabouts. Her gaze falls on the serpent woman, who appears with a sinister grin. With a single, biting remark, she reveals that she found the dragon delicious, implying she devoured him. The tiger halts, her eyes wide with shock and disbelief. She gasps, questioning whether the serpent woman really ate the dragon. Smirking, the serpent woman confirms her suspicion, hinting she caught and consumed him intentionally. Driven by grief and fury, the tiger moves forward, crouching low, ready to attack. Her eyes blaze with pain and fierce determination. The serpent woman's final provocation pushes her over the edge. Her eyes glow unnaturally white as she lunges, promising to tear the serpent from within the woman's body. With a furious leap, she assaults the mighty serpent, forcing the serpent woman to recoil and desperately claim she was joking. Ignoring her protests, the tiger continues her relentless assault. The serpent woman's fear fades into cold indifference, and she comments calmly on the brutality displayed. Her words seem to soothe the tiger, who then lowers her head in restrained fury. Suddenly, another figure appears, a woman with a tiger's tail, questioning about the dragon's fate. The serpentine woman confirms they are discussing Hakadu. She then begins to recount her long, dark history with the dragon. In a stark image, a roaring white tiger stands against a shadowy background, proclaiming itself as the child's protector. Gur, the serpentine woman, confirms Hikari's inquiry about the dragon. Hikari, pensive and silent, is framed by her long blonde hair. Hacker stands alone, her face a mixture of shock and disbelief. A flashback reveals the dragon once as a tiny hatchling, too small to be considered worth eating. Guruji viewed him as a delicacy to be savored later. Startled by Hikari's quiet demeanor, the serpentine woman pulls back. A close-up of Guru's sly, knowing grin captures her mischievous intent. Guri leans in unervingly close, licking Hikari's ear with an unsettling intimacy. Hazhari observes that the serpentine woman reflects her own qualities strikingly. The guru replies with a smirk, acknowledging their shared mindset. Hacker's gaze drops, her face troubled with deep thought. The scene shifts to a sky shrouded in clouds, revealing a lone heron standing quietly in shallow waters of a peaceful river. With a graceful strike, the heron catches a fish, its expression one of smug satisfaction. Gorm comments that the dragon child will undoubtedly boast about his latest catch. It's simply in his dragon nature, she explains softly. Hakray sits alone, his gaze heavy and troubled as he contemplates. She admits she can never quite understand what runs through the boy's mind. Guru mentions that deciphering his thoughts might be a challenge for Hikari. She offers a lesson, advising him to observe his tail carefully. Gore explains that the tail usually swings gently from side to side but shudders fiercely when he's angry or trying to intimidate. She begins to describe how the tail behaves when he is joyful or playful, but her explanation is cut short by a loud thud nearby. Two large wolves land heavily on the cave floor, their bodies crashing down with force. The dragon boy dashes past Guri, his tail a blur of motion. He collides with Hoer, wrapping her in a frantic, desperate embrace. Dirt smudges his face, his expression intense and wide-eyed with earnestness. Hacker gazes at him, a gentle question lingering in her eyes. The boy looks up as Guri watches from behind. He attempts to stand, pushing away from Hikari. She tells him that if he can move, it's time to leave. His long, feathered, scaled tail trails on the ground behind him. Hikari observes him with a flicker of concern crossing her face, while the girl watches silently with a smug, knowing smile. The boy urges them to hurry, his voice firm and urgent. He stumbles forward, each step increasingly slow and labored. Suddenly, he collapses onto the cave floor, exhausted beyond words. Hikari gently suggests resting, and Gore agrees, supporting her counsel. He insists he's incapable of running in his current condition. From the shadows, someone angrily tells Gore to be quiet. Huck studies the boy, realizing he must have flown all through the night. She now understands he had been out hunting. Her gaze falls upon the massive, lifeless head of Hakuto, the serpent. This dull, white eye indicates it's no longer alive. A close-up shows the serpent's clawed hand, eternally still. Hakuto's reptilian head with flowing whiskers lies silent, lifeless. Gore comments that Hakuto had at least some sense of dignity. Hikari looks up, questioning the significance of the snake's name. She explains that names are given to things we hold dear. Filled with dread, Hikari asks if she names her meals. Gur reveals her plan to fatten the dragon before eating him, shrugging off the fact that her scheme has already been discovered. She then turns the question back to Hikari, probing her feelings. She emphasizes how Hikari risked her safety to save him. Huck listens quietly, her expression unreadable and calm. The exhausted dragon boy sleeps peacefully, his face calm and untroubled. His hand rests atop the thick, gleaming scales of the enormous serpent he had once defeated. From above, Hikari looks down, her doubts seemingly confirmed. She admits she struggles to understand what runs through his mind. Gur leans casually against the cave wall, ready to speak. Hikari then asks a haunting question. Why do dragons turn on one another? Turning back, the girl begins to tell a tragic story. She explains that it was inevitable, given the dark history of their kind. The ancient dragon lineage had scorned all other creatures and kept birds from the skies. These flying beings spread false rumors claiming that a dragon's heart bestowed immortality. Filled with greed, land animals hunted whatever dragons they found, believing in the myth. It was also whispered that dragon flesh was a rare delicacy. As hunting became impossible, the dragons faced starvation. In the air, desperation led them to attack one another. Their arrogance prevented cooperation, and without new hatchlings, their race vanished entirely. Hikari absorbs this sorrowful tale, feeling a deep empathy for the boy's pain. Gur concludes that the dragon boy simply suffered the repercussions of his ancestors' cruelty. As he slumbers, the boy twitches and sweats, trapped in a nightmare. Hikari observes, knowing his fears have returned. In his dream, he reaches out desperately, clutching his own tail. He then buries his face into the soft fur of a white tiger nearby. The majestic beast steps closer, offering him comfort. The boy remains silent, eyes closed, leaning against the tiger for solace. His small hands clutch the tiger's leg as he searches for peace amid his dreams. Side by side in the cave, the massive serpent and the white tiger rest peacefully. The scene shifts to a tall, misty waterfall. In his human form, the boy leaps into the sky. Gray warns Hikari not to bring up her lesson about his tail. From above, the boy looks back, his face serious. Hikari finds herself held tightly within the dragon's powerful claws. The great beast warns Gray not to fill her mind with nonsense. Gray, in her serpentine form, coils alone on the ground below. The dragon keeps Hikari close, a vow of protection evident in its grip. Together, they soar over a rugged mountain range. Hikari gazes at the vast landscape spread beneath her. Eventually, they descend into a peaceful forest clearing. The vigilant dragon remains alert, while Huckray scoffs at the idea of a tiger capable of flight. Her long, feathered tail disappears into the trees. Huckray watches with a calm, knowing smile before walking away with the boy, ready for their next adventure. Meanwhile, the dragon Heko plunges toward a waterfall flanked by two majestic eagles. An eagle assures a magnificent feathered dragon that they have arrived. The serpent-like dragon, Hekato, lowers its massive head with determined resolve. Tucking in its limbs, it prepares for a swift, powerful dive. Standing at the top of the dragon's head is a girl with spiky hair and a reptilian tail. She steps into a shadowy cavern, facing a colossal, coiled serpent with fearless resolve. In the shrouded darkness, a giant serpent lurked silently, its forked tongue flicking in and out. A girl standing nearby observed the creature with a stern, measured expression, assessing the threat that loomed ahead. The cave's entrance yawned like a shadowy maw, hinting at hidden dangers and long-forgotten secrets. Carefully, she peered around a jagged rock, her gaze steady and alert. Suddenly, a figure stepped out from the shadows, chuckling softly at her surprise. Grr, a serpent woman with an air of confidence, greeted her with a sly smile, calling her an unusual visitor. The girl remained unmoved, silently studying Grr's serpentine features. She mentioned her suspicion about a passing dragon, dismissing Grr's old stories as mere legend. Then, she demanded information about the dragon's destination. A young couple, a man and a woman, revealed they were on an urgent mission heading westward. The young man explained they wished to avoid someone along their route. Gorsk, another serpent, confidently claimed the dragon was indeed heading west. Her lips curled into a knowing grin as she confirmed the dragon's direction. Observing her suspicion, the girl accused Gorsk of deceit, which prompted a defensive question about her motives. With a cynical smirk, she remarked that snakes are rarely trustworthy. Gorsk retorted sharply, questioning why she even bothered to ask. Hakato's voice then chimed in, suggesting it was worth trying nonetheless. A mighty dragon threatened to swallow the snake if it continued to stay silent. The enormous serpent coiled, flicking its forked tongue, preparing for an attack. In a flash, it lunged forward, striking with lightning speed. Hikito responded swiftly, slamming the snake into a nearby pool, causing a great splash. The dragon swooped down, dodging the serpent's retaliatory strike, and their clash turned the water into chaos. Rising from the waves, the snake's head snapped towards them, jaws wide open. Hiko countered with a powerful, stunning blow that staggered the creature. The dragon then coiled its long body, beginning to constrict its opponent with newfound strength. Its limbs wrapped tightly around the massive serpent's body, securing a lethal grip. Hikito expertly grasped the snake's neck, squeezing with deadly precision, crushing its scales and bones. The snake's eyes widened in terror as it experienced devastating pain. With a final burst of strength, the dragon's razor-sharp tail pierced through the snake's eye, delivering a fatal blow. The serpent spasmed violently, blood pouring from the wound, before succumbing. Hekato stood victorious over the lifeless body, his claws resting dominantly on its head. In its dying breath, the snake whispered Hekato's name. A tiny dragon approached, attempting to scavenge the carcass, but was quickly dismissed as having no share in the meal. Grr scowled, complaining that the small dragon's portion was less than hers. With a swift flick of her tail, she sent the little creature tumbling away. The small dragon, whimpering and growling in frustration, tried to protest. Grr sternly told the young dragon that crying was useless. She challenged it to take the food by force if it truly wanted to. The tiny dragon's eyes narrowed with fierce determination. It coiled around Grr, squeezing her with all its might, stripping the strength from her. The girl chuckles softly, clearly unimpressed by the effort she has witnessed. She coolly remarks that the weak grip she just felt is nothing more than a tickle. Nearby, a massive serpent's carcass lies untouched in the clearing, serving as a stark testament to a hard-earned lesson. Two majestic eagles perch silently on a jagged outcrop, observing the scene with quiet vigilance. Hikito gracefully navigates through a rugged canyon, its journey far from over. A grand dragon rests peacefully, its head lowered, eyes closed in serene repose. The girl with the spiky hair looks up at the sky, a tranquil smile playing on her lips. By the waterfall, she comments on how enchanting the spot is, admiring the crystal-clear water as a potential sanctuary. She studies the scene thoughtfully, suggesting that it might be an ideal place to settle. Turning to Hikato, she seeks its silent approval of her musings. A sudden flashback reveals a woman and a hooded figure Master Shinsui. The woman, an older version of the girl, greets him by name with familiarity. Master Shinsui's face shows a mixture of seriousness and contemplation. The girl expresses her excitement at the thought of seeing him again, leaving us to wonder about her intentions when their reunion finally occurs. In the present moment, she confesses her hope to forge a stronger bond as fellow survivors, wishing to reconnect as they once did. Her mother, Gore, observes her with a gentle, nurturing gaze, offering reassurance and faith in her daughter's abilities. Confident, the girl nods, revealing her small, sharp fangs. Gore then asks if they should begin their search, to which the girl agrees. Together, they ascend into the sky, soaring like eagles over a vast, mist-shrouded mountain range. Meanwhile, a young man rides a tiger through a dense bamboo grove, moving swiftly and purposefully. Nearby, a female leopard strides deliberately across a sunlit clearing, clutching a small, frightened fox kit in her jaws with careful attention. She leaps into a defensive stance, shielding her tiny charge from danger. Approaching, an aggressive male leopard advances, clearly perceiving a threat. Realizing the situation, the mother drops the fox kit and faces the male, standing her ground. The small fox tumbles onto the soft earth, dazed and trembling, crying out desperately for its mother. The male leopard issues a guttural roar of challenge, baring his teeth. The mother leans forward with a warning swipe, demanding that the male back off. Frustrated, he demands to know the reason behind her protective stance toward the fox, which he considers an unusual sight. Unable to comprehend her resolve, he yells that he will kill the cub. Prepared for violence, the mother braces herself, positioning her body defensively over the fragile creature. The male bites down hard, launching a brutal attack she withstands through fierce resolve. Clenching her jaw, she protects the small fox beneath her. Suddenly, a white tiger charges into the scene with devastating power, colliding forcefully with the male leopard. Staggered by the impact, the male leopard retreats. The imposing white tiger stands its ground, guarding both the mother and the cub. The male leopard roars menacingly, demanding the tiger to leave, but the tiger remains unwavering. The formidable feline growls low in disapproval, unwilling to back down. The tension escalates as another fierce leopard emerges, emitting a low growl of aggression. With a mighty leap, it pounces toward the magnificent white tiger, ready for a fierce confrontation. In a whirlwind of claws and fury, two massive felines collided fiercely. The tiger quickly asserted dominance, towering over its smaller opponent. With a savage bite, it sank its fangs deep into the leopard's leg, dragging the thrashing feline across the ground in a brutal struggle for victory. Reacting swiftly, the clever leopard gouged the tiger's face with its claws, fiercely defending itself. Once more, they faced each other, the leopard hissing defiantly, its breathing heavy but its gaze burning with resolve. Suddenly, the leopard's attention shifted, diverting from the intense fight to approach a small fox cub waiting nearby with gentle care. At this moment, the enraged white tiger roared loudly, causing the leopard to retreat in haste. The mother leopard carefully lifted the tiny fox in her mouth, escaping just as a larger, more aggressive leopard surged into the scene. The male leopard charged forward, eyes blazing with hunger, and dealt a vicious blow that staggered the mother. In an instant, the fox cub was snatched from the air by a surprisingly young boy, whose strength was surprising for his small frame. It turned out that the boy possessed a long, reptilian tail that helped him intervene. The male leopard staggered, groaning from the sudden, fierce assault, as the white tiger then forcefully slammed him into the earth, roaring with fury and warning him never to return. The defeated leopard looked up, silent and utterly broken. Meanwhile, the boy gently cradled the fox Kit, which affectionately licked his cheek. Suddenly, a towering dragon appeared in the skies, menacing the defeated leopard with a stern warning of dire consequences. The dragon vowed to squeeze the life from him if he dared to return, prompting the male leopard to crouch low in submission. With all his aggression vanished, he acknowledged his defeat and slinked away into the quiet wilderness. Later, a woman with a tiger's tail arrived, joining the boy and the rescued Kit. She pointed out that the boy was also involved in the rescue, prompting him to chide her for always getting involved in such conflicts. He retorted that she was the one who had jumped in first. Playfully, he barked at her, wrapping his long tail around her leg. Meanwhile, the mother leopard wandered alone through a peaceful grassy meadow, beneath a large, gnarled tree standing sentinel in a sunlit clearing. She rested quietly, while the fox Kit cautiously approached, nuzzling her cheek with innocent affection. The mother responded with a gentle lick, and they sat side by side, an unlikely but tranquil pair. From a distance, the boy and the white tiger watched them. He asked whether the leopard found their unusual alliance strange, to which the leopard's expression grew somber as she began her story. She revealed that the aggressive male leopard had taken her own cubs. Surprised, the boy inquired why, since they belonged to the same species. The leopard explained that such issues were insignificant in the wild, where offspring from another male held no particular standing. Her cubs, she continued, had been fathered by a different male, prompting the newcomer to eliminate them. She recounted that it was during this brutal conflict that she found her own tiny cub lying curled beside the lifeless body of its mother. With heartfelt compassion, she shared that she couldn't abandon the helpless creature. Her bond with the fragile Kit was born out of necessity and deep maternal instinct, binding her to the small survivor against all odds. The boy highlights the stark differences between their lives, his face growing serious as he recognizes this profound contrast. His mother, the leopard, listens intently, understanding his perspective. She states that, for now, this child simply needs her presence. She shifts her gaze toward the boy and the tiger, posing a quiet question. Nearby, the leopard observes her adopted cub as it plays at her feet. She far future wonders whether their companionship is merely temporary. As night falls over the vast, snow-dusted mountains, the leopard's cubs, one a fox Kit, the other a young leopard, sleep peacefully on a sturdy branch. The mother leopard stirs, scenting the air, and moves toward a distant summit. Her eyes glow brightly as she spots her target. Silently, she glides through the shadows toward a neighboring peak, where she finds a white tiger and an immense dragon awaiting her. The dragon's commanding voice reverberates, warning her that she was told not to return. Realization dawns on her. There has been a serious misunderstanding. She instinctively spins around, readying herself to escape the impending danger, bowing her head in submission. The dragon roars in confusion at her unusual behavior, uncertain of her intent. Later, under a starry sky, a vast, snow-covered plain stretches into the distance. The boy and the tiger sit quietly side by side, immersed in the serene tranquility of night. The tiger emits a gentle purring sound, its demeanor calm and peaceful. Together, they gaze across the majestic mountains bathed in moonlight. The boy, with a small healing cut on his cheek, reflects silently, while the tiger's massive paws rest firmly on the snow. A female tiger approaches softly, nuzzling the boy's cheek with affection. She then settles beside him, her tail curling onto the cold ground. The boy looks up at her with a tender, peaceful expression. She gazes into the moonlit terrain, sharing a silent bond that words cannot express. From a nearby shadow emerges a dragon's eye, shining with ancient wisdom. Its long tongue gently brushes against the woman tiger's shoulder as it leans in, sharing an intimate moment. She meets its gaze with gentleness and contemplation, raising her hand as she considers their unique connection. Tenderly, she strokes the dragon's mighty snout, drawing a playful nip from its powerful jaws. She quickly withdraws her hand, feigning surprise, and the dragon responds with a soft, amused sound. She confesses a longing to find a way to extend its life, pondering whether such immortality would be desirable. The boy, concerned, suggests perhaps a being with a long lifespan might hold the answer. She questions what she would even do with such an extended existence. Panic flashes in her eyes as she asks him if he wishes to die, but her expression softens with empathy. Reassuring him, she vows she won't dwell on that possibility, for his sake. A vivid flashback unfolds, revealing a snow-cloaked mountain landscape. A white tiger leaps through the snow, carrying a young boy on its back. The boy slumps over, weak and covered in frost. The tiger halts and scans the swirling blizzard for shelter. They discover a small, dark hollow beneath a tree's roots. Without hesitation, the tiger digs through the snow, creating a cozy den. It curls its body tightly, forming a warm, protective space amid the cold. The tiger settled comfortably, shielding the boy from the biting cold outside the cave. Inside, the boy instructed her to wait for him as he prepared to venture out. Suddenly, a majestic white tiger was seized from behind by a young boy with a reptilian tail, who questioned where she intended to go. From the safety of the cave, the tiger explained she needed to hunt. Her expression hardened with serious determination, and she suggested targeting a smaller prey across the snowy landscape. The tiger then transformed into a woman cloaked in a warm garment, her striped tail curling behind her. Her demeanor was calm, reflective of deep thought and resolve. She responded to the boy's question about her unusual fur color, describing how her white coat allowed her to blend seamlessly into the winter environment. As her form shifted back to that of a tiger, she questioned whether her reasoning was understood now. Hikari looked outward, filled with unwavering purpose. Through the snow-laden trees, she spotted her distant prey, resembling a bison, slowly making its way. Her human hands, tipped with sharp claws, tensed in anticipation, while her tiger paws made soft crunches on the fresh snow around her. The two large, shaggy beasts remained oblivious to the imminent danger, standing motionless as the cold wind swept through the peaceful forest. Hikari recognized that there was no need for a reckless chase that would drain her energy. Hidden among the reeds, she patiently waited downwind for the right moment. When the opportunity arose, she shot forward with lethal speed, emerging swiftly from her concealment. The bison, startled by her silent approach, was attacked instantly, her powerful jaws securing her target. Her victorious roar echoed across the empty mountain range before falling silent once again over the snow-covered cliffs. She dragged her well-earned prize through the heavy, untouched snow, a contented huff escaping her as she pulled the carcass behind her. Suddenly, a massive dark shape emerged from the trees, alerting her to a new threat. Her paw slipped slightly on the icy ground as she sensed the presence of her opponent. Standing before her was a bear, its hostile intentions unmistakable, mouth agape with ravenous hunger. The bear charged forward with heavy, clawed paws, making a thudding impact. Hikari dropped her kill and pivoted quickly to face the danger. Her eyes widened in alarm as the enormous predator advanced, swinging a massive paw with brutal force, slamming her into the snow with a furious roar. Deep bloody scars marred her white fur, evidence of her wounds. Despite the pain, she rose, growling defiantly. The bear reared up on its hind legs, roaring loudly to assert dominance. Hikari remembered the old wisdom: never approach a starving bear. The creature pushed her prize aside, claiming it for itself, driven by insatiable hunger and utterly fearless of danger. It lumbered off into the woods, leaving her to watch helplessly, feeling a mixture of frustration and defeat. A low growl of exhaustion rumbled from deep within her chest. A single dark drop of blood stained the pristine snow beneath her. The same deep claw marks scarred her back in her human form, a testament to the fierce confrontation she had just endured. She reminded herself that nursing her wounds would only worsen her condition. Proper healing demanded clean water and ample rest. Yet knowing the boy depended on her, she couldn't afford to pause. Spotting a new prey hidden among the reeds, a tall crane. She silently began to stalk it near a frozen stream. The bird's eyes suddenly widened with alarm as it sensed the predator's approach. With a swift, powerful spring, Haki launched herself from her hiding place. The crane fluttered its wings in a frantic attempt to escape, desperate to take to the sky. She, in midair, executed a precise capture, plunging into the icy water with a loud splash. Emerging, she made her way back toward the shadowed entrance of their snowy den. Inside, the boy sat trembling, his scaly tail wrapped tightly around himself. His weary eyes fluttered open upon sensing her presence, long awaited and rare. She entered the den, shifting from her tiger form into her human guise. The lifeless crane was discarded carelessly onto the cave floor. She declared she had finally brought food for them. The boy looked up at her, whining childishly about her slowness and hesitation. Her initial surprise gave way to a tired understanding of his ungrateful mood. He brushed aside the meal, claiming he was cold and needed her warmth. She regarded him with a mixture of emotions: concern, frustration, compassion. Her tiger aspect began to gnaw at the feathers of their fresh catch, then soon settled into small bites. As she ate, a memory surfaced: an adult tiger reprimanding a young cub. The tiny tiger looked up defiantly, claiming the other started the trouble. The elder pawed gently to pin the rebellious cub. She advised that feelings shouldn't dictate actions, a lesson about survival and discipline. This image symbolized a mentor guiding a student through harsh lessons. In the present, her tiger form devoured the meal, while the boy sat alone, still trembling in the cold shadows. Haki's tiger body nuzzled him, providing a surge of warmth and comfort. He sighed softly, burying his face in her soft fur, seeking solace. In her human form, she gazed at him tenderly, watching over his fragile state. She drew him close, wrapping her thick cloak around him to shield from the cold. As he looked up at her, a fleeting sense of safety touched his eyes. Resting his head against her, his expression softened with quiet trust. Outside, the relentless blizzard roared around their shelter, battering the mountain peaks with furious snow. Despite the storm, they remained huddled together, a lonely ember of warmth amid the wilderness. His hand gently rested on her back as they embraced, offering silent reassurance. His gaze shifted to the scars marring her old wounds, traced by his fingers with quiet curiosity. He pressed into her old pain, tentative and probing. Her face twisted in discomfort, a muffled grunt escaping her lips. A small, cruel smirk flickered across his face as he calmly asked if it hurt. Her expression darkened, shifting from pain to anger and disbelief at his insensitivity. With a swift flick, she pushed him off her lap, causing him to tumble into the thick snow and shiver from the sudden cold. Frustrated, he scrambled to climb back onto the tiger, which responded with a menacing growl. Suddenly transforming into a tiny squirrel, he scowled at her, squeaking desperately for help. Nearby, a snow leopard explained that honing hunting skills was vital for a long life, while a shadowy den added that finding safe resting spots also contributed to longevity. A hawk perched on a branch symbolized the importance of quick escape for survival from predators. Out of nowhere, an enormous bear, with an unusual tongue, roared, demanding dragon meat. A young boy with elfin ears watched the chaos with a stern, disapproving expression. A serpentine dragon, adorned with feathers, screeched sharply as it lunged at the bear's demands. Later, the same elegant dragon soared silently above a bleak, snowy forest, its wings slicing through the cold air. A woman, with a tiger's tail curling around her, gently held the boy, whose own reptilian tail twined around her arm. His face was tense and filled with frustration as he muttered, disappointed that things weren't turning out as he had hoped. Their journey led them into a forest where a curious group of monkeys peeked from the treetops. An elderly man with a beard greeted them warmly, excited to meet a dragon. Perched atop a large white tiger, the boy observed skeptically, arms crossed. The monkeys murmured among themselves, pondering the meaning of their visitors' quest for longer lives. The old man wondered aloud if dragons already enjoyed extended lifespans, but the boy clarified that his goal was different. His words shifted the old man's expression into visible curiosity, prompting him to ask whether the boy sought longevity for the tiger instead. The man stroked his beard and fell into thought, explaining that all creatures have fixed lifespans that cannot be changed. The boy retorted, knowing this well, and explained that he was seeking a solution. The old man nodded solemnly, clasping his hands in recognition of their long journey. The boy, unimpressed, let out a small, skeptical noise. The monkeys led them deeper into their camp, where 2 wooden cups filled with a dark, mysterious liquid awaited. Sitting on the tiger, the boy examined the cups suspiciously and asked what they contained. The old man cheerfully described it as a warming, energizing drink brewed from fermented fruits, offering a piece of dried venison as a treat for carnivores. Gesturing toward a dark cave nearby, he suggested it as a place to rest, describing a cozy bed of hay and fur that would keep out the cold. The boy remained seated on the tiger, distrust clear on his face. The old man noted that meeting a dragon was a great honor and offered all this as a token of hospitality. With a tired look, the boy flatly refused their generous offer. The old man observed that his companion had accepted the drink, while the woman skillfully took a long sip, finishing it with a satisfied expression. The boy watched her carefully, scolding her gently for not exercising more caution. She holds an empty cup, insisting that the drink was surprisingly flavorful. The man compliments her refined taste, pleased that his gift was appreciated. Reluctantly, the boy takes his own cup, muttering that he wasn't poisoned. He drinks loudly, slurping as his tail flicks behind him. After finishing, he puffs out his cheeks, trying to seem unconcerned. He casts a puzzled glance at the woman, puzzled by her eagerness to accept the beverage. She looks down at him, asking if he found the drink enjoyable. The old man's friendly expression fades as he observes them carefully, shifting the focus back to their quest for eternal life. He inquires whether the boy has heard stories about dragon hearts. He then narrates a cautionary tale of a monkey who once ate a dragon's heart. The monkey, he explains, met a swift and painful end within days. The boy listens intently, his face growing serious. The story continues, revealing that a wolf who consumed the same heart also perished. The man suggests that a dragon's heart must harbor deadly poison. Though he admits it might be coincidental, the evidence is persuasive, and he firmly states that such a heart does not grant immortality. Later that night, the cave's entrance looms ominously against the snow-covered landscape. Inside, the boy lies on a fur bed, but appears restless. He twists and turns, uneasy, trying to find comfort while the woman sleeps soundly beside him. Sitting up, beads of sweat glisten on his skin as his senses seem heightened. He gasps, his face flushed, complaining of an oppressive heat. His serpentine tail rises in the shadows as the fever intensifies. The woman's long-nailed hand rests on the fur, her presence suddenly unsettling. Waking, she leans over him with an unnerving intensity. He looks up, bewildered, and asks what's wrong. Her flushed face close, she whispers that she desires something. Her hand slips down, unbuttoning his jacket and shirt, her fingers grazing his bare skin as she continues to undress him. The boy watches in shock and confusion, eyes wide with disbelief. In feverish longing, she declares her craving for his heart. His world blurs into a nightmare of a bird pecking at a bloody wound. He cries out in pain, gritting his teeth. Suddenly, the dream shatters, revealing a bloody knife poised above him. Outside, he is restrained with ropes, held down by the woman he once trusted. Nearby, the old man stands calmly, stating that he has woken up. The boy struggles against his bonds, confusion and betrayal written across his face. The old man explains that he has a small experiment he's eager to perform. Fear grips the boy as his perception shifts entirely. Now he is a gigantic serpentine dragon, with the old man riding on his back. A thick rope is tied to a nearby tree, straining as the beast thrashes violently. The dragon emits a furious, strangled roar as it fights to escape. The rope digs painfully into its neck, chafing against its scales. It pants heavily, eyes wide with panic and exhaustion. The old man calmly warns that further resistance will only choke the creature completely. The dragon's resistance waned, its breath slipping into a faint hiss as its head drooped in exhaustion. Gradually, it collapsed onto the snow with a heavy thud, its enormous body pressing into the cold ground. The creature had reverted into a small human figure, battered and restrained. Nearby, the monkeys noted the absence of the tiger, who remained peacefully asleep, still under the influence of whatever drug kept her unaware of the chaos. The man beside them remarked that she must be dreaming blissfully, unaware of the battle around her. His eyes gleamed with a sinister intent as he prepared to press forward. He pondered whether dragon venom exists in life, or if it only appears after death. Confident he could succeed if he claimed the heart of a living dragon, he, in a moment of desperation, lifted a dagger toward his own chest. A majestic bird of prey soared silently across the sky, serving as an ominous sign. From the shadows, a new figure emerged. A winged woman with dark feathers descended rapidly, her foot striking the old man's head with fierce precision. The other monkeys were scattered instantly, defeated as she moved with lethal grace. The boy, lying on the ground, watched her in confusion and awe as she declared her intent to rescue the dragon from their grasp. His wide eyes reflected surprise. He could hardly believe this winged stranger had come for him. As she dragged the bound boy away, the swarm of ape-like creatures lunged to defend their prize. Their fierce leader roared with anger, refusing to surrender what was theirs. Smaller apes screeched and clawed at her cloak, trying to impede her escape. Misumi, a woman with expansive dark wings, deftly avoided their grasp. With a quick kick, she struck one of the attackers, sending him reeling with a cry of pain. She landed heavily to fend off another assault while a tiny monkey watched her intently. The grizzled ape leader, eyes wide with rage, prepared to fight. He raised a crude knife, ready to attack Misumi and her young companion. The ape leader charged, weapon raised, aiming for the serene-looking winged woman. Misumi tilted her head slightly, her face calm and unwavering despite the danger. Just then, Cochrane intervened with a swift flying kick, knocking the ape leader to the ground. The leader grimaced as he hit the earth, pain evident in his expression, sweat trickling down his forehead. Struggling to stand, he scraped his boots against the unforgiving ground. With a decisive flurry of her wing, Misumi struck the leader again, rendering him unconscious. She and Cochrane stood over their fallen foe, triumphant. Their mission appeared to be over. The defeated ape leader lay motionless with a soft thud, silent in defeat. Misumi calmly brushed a feather on her wing, her thoughts unreadable. She approached the chained dragon boy, inspecting the ropes around his chest with curiosity. Giving a firm tug, she confirmed he was securely bound. Her gaze flicked toward the shadowy woods, sensing the remaining apes hiding amid the trees. Suddenly, one of the beasts leapt from the darkness, trying to reclaim their captured prize. Cochrane swiftly responded with a flying kick, sending the ape sprawling into the snow as Misumi watched calmly. He looked back at her, maintaining a composed and focused expression amidst the turmoil. Misumi remained calm amidst the chaos, as the fight persisted and the ape continued its relentless assault. The dragon boy's scaly tail lashed wildly, intensifying the tumult of the clash. Coerin called out his name urgently, warning him of the increasing danger. Suddenly, a mighty eagle descended swiftly, its talons gripping the boy's cloak from behind. With a mighty beat of its powerful wings, the eagle lifted the boy into the star-studded sky, soaring away from the furious apes in the dark, snowy forest below. The eagle carried its captive over rugged mountain ranges, the boy dangling from a rope, shouting defiantly and demanding his freedom. High above, he kept shouting while Misumi urged him to stay calm. The eagle's long, scaly tail struck sharply, silencing his protests. The impact startled him, unbalancing his body midair. He tumbled through the darkness, his slender reptilian tail trailing behind him. His face suddenly contorted in shock as he fell through the vast emptiness beneath him. Descending rapidly, he was a tiny figure lost in endless night. In a fleeting moment of clarity, his reptilian eye widened with startling awareness. Swooping down once again, the eagle's talons grasped him, halting his fall. It carried him steady through the air, his long tail fluttering like a ribbon in the dark sky. Suspended helplessly beneath his rescuer, the boy wondered why this was happening. He desperately questioned why, as a dragon, he couldn't fly on his own. After a while, they finally landed on a bleak, snowy cliff under a sky shimmering with stars. The boy briefly pondered that perhaps the monkey had done something to provoke this ordeal. Suspicious, he turned to his captors and asked if they intended to eat him. Msumi calmly reassured him that they had no such intention, explaining that they were taking him to their master. Sitting on the icy ground, the boy questioned who this master could possibly be. A quiet smile touched Msumi's lips as she touched her wing. She explained that the master was a dragon, much like him, who simply wished for friendship. The boy sneered at the idea of friendship and coexistence, his face twisting with anger. Msumi insisted her words were true, but he flatly refused the offer. Turning away bitterly, he declared that his hostility toward all dragons stemmed from hatred. When reminded that he was indeed a dragon, he painfully admitted that he despised himself as well. Msumi's expression grew serious as she listened to his emotional confession. The boy faced them squarely, demanding to know why they served a dragon. With a bright smile, Msumi revealed that their loyalty was born from gratitude, explaining that they owed their lives to their master. The boy hesitated, disbelief clouding his face, questioning if he had heard correctly. Msumi nodded, affirming that a dragon had saved the birds' lives, and that they were loyal to their master because of it. He looked at her with suspicion and gloom, doubtful of such a story. He pressed her further, asking if this master was truly a genuine dragon. Narrowing her eyes, Msumi challenged his insinuation. She described typical dragons as proud creatures who despised birds. She admitted her knowledge of other dragons was limited, yet she believed their master was extraordinary and unlike any other. With heartfelt admiration, she proclaimed that their master was truly wonderful. The boy listens intently to her words, his initial anger gradually giving way to curiosity. Msame offers reassurance, promising that meeting her will alter his perspective for the better. After all, they are of the same kind. Her voice softens as she suggests he may have felt lonely until now. The silent, snowy mountains around them seem to mirror his solitude. While his captors rest, he sits alone, shivering in the icy cold, fixating on the thick rope still binding his hands. Suddenly, his expression shifts. His eyes widen with newfound resolve. A vivid memory of a serene, beautiful woman with elven ears surfaces, and his face hardens with determination. The image of Hikari lingers in his mind, fueling his desire to escape. Bringing his bound hands to his mouth, he begins gnawing at the rope, his eyes narrowing to reveal vertical slits reminiscent of a dragon's gaze. Free at last, he rises and steps away from his captors. His long, scaly tail drags behind as he starts to flee. Their two winged guards remain unaware, their backs turned. Cochrane's face reveals concern as he realizes the prisoner has escaped. The boy quickly climbs a steep, icy cliff, his tail trailing behind him. His hands scrape against the rough, frozen surface, the frayed rope still on his wrist. A grimace of pain flickers across his face as he struggles upward. He presses on, a small figure against the towering, jagged rocks. Meanwhile, the sun begins to rise over the bleak mountain peaks. Msumi had been dozing, her head resting wearily on Korin's shoulder. He gently awakens her, calling her big sister to catch her attention. She stirs, and both stand, staring at the empty space where the boy had been. Together, they gaze over the vast wilderness, realizing their prisoner has vanished. Msumi wonders why he would flee after they offered him safety and a home. The winged duo, accompanied by their eagle, take to the skies, determined to find him. At the base of a towering cliff, the boy stands with a resolute expression. His face bears scratches, but his gaze is fixed on an uncertain destination. He dashes across the barren landscape, his long tail trailing behind him. In another scene, a small monkey approaches a rocky den with purpose. Inside, a magnificent white tiger named Hooker sleeps peacefully on a bed of hay. The tiger startles awake, clutching a tiny tide sack protectively. The monkey enters cautiously, its motives still unclear. The tiger nuzzles against the rocky wall, a soft purring sound escaping. The monkey scratches at the stones, emitting a low, communicative howl. It then approaches the massive tiger carefully, seemingly completing its mission. An elf-like woman named Hikari looks surprised as she touches her striped, furry tail. Suddenly, a figure slides swiftly down a snowy slope, kicking up a flurry of snow. Hikari shields her eyes with an arm, her face reflecting weary acceptance. Standing in the snow, her striped feline tail peeks out behind her. Ogle, a cheerful young man with an identical tail, greets her enthusiastically. He notes it's been a while, but her indifferent attitude makes it clear she isn't particularly interested. Against a shadowed backdrop, Ogle's profile shifts to one of irritation. From atop a snow-covered mountain, he shouts in frustration, feeling ignored and dismissed. A flashback reveals a large, furry creature lying stunned on the ground, knocked unconscious. Nearby, a fierce white tiger roars, demanding to know the whereabouts of the dragon. The dazed creature murmurs that the dragon was taken from its care. Returning to the present, Ogle calls out to Hikari from behind clusters of snow-laden branches. She pauses briefly, coldly suggesting that by now, the dragon was probably eaten. He urges her not to give up hope, but she remains firm and resolute. Clasping her hand, Ogle pleads earnestly for her to reconsider. Then, cheerfully, he asks her what she thinks about him joining her hunt. She glances behind, her face revealing a moment of contemplation, as she weighs his proposal. His slight flustered expression and beads of sweat betray uncertainty. Realizing she's uncertain about the dragon's fate and only speculating. Reinvigorated, he eagerly offers his help to find the missing creature. Meanwhile, a pack of gray wolves races fiercely through a snowy forest. A young boy, Genta, flees from them, his face scratched but determined. Suddenly, he stumbles on the uneven snow, losing his footing. His long, scaly tail catches on the icy ground as he slides down the slope. A wolf leaps onto him, snarling menacingly. One wolf bites down hard on Genta's tail, causing excruciating pain. The pack leader barks commands, instructing the others to encircle their prey. The wolves efficiently trap Genta in a snowy clearing. Panting heavily, Genta's eyes flash with defiance as he coils his tail protectively. The pack begins to plot, one wolf warning the others to avoid his tail. Genta struggles, swinging his tail to send one wolf tumbling, and then lunges forward, grabbing another by the scruff of its neck. Suddenly, a massive eagle swoops down with talons extended, interrupting the scene. The wolves look up, frustrated as their prey is snatched from beneath them. The eagle carries Genta away and lands him on a branch before a mysterious cloaked figure. Genta, battered from the encounter, watches the newcomer warily. The stranger reveals himself as a young man with wings and a hood. He claims he has no desire to meet another dragon and refuses to let Genta see her. Confused, Genta utters a bewildered, "Ha!" and asks if they don't serve the same master. The winged man admits he would prefer to leave if he could. Genta, serious now, considers this reluctance and challenges him to run away. The man responds that he cannot. He apologizes, explaining he cannot reveal why he must stay, then quickly leaps away, urging Genta to clarify his own situation. The winged stranger disappears into the trees from a higher vantage point. A solitary eagle soaring across the cloudy sky overhead completes the scene. Meanwhile, a silent observer, Misumi, a young woman with dark hair, walks through the snowy woods, watching quietly from a distance. The eagle accompanying the winged man swooped down and landed gracefully on a branch above her. Its keen, intelligent eyes were captured in a vivid close-up shot. Msumi stood with authority, her gaze fixed on her avian companion as she inquired whether he had found Genta. Cochran, the winged figure, shook his head, admitting he had been unable to locate the boy. Skepticism flashed in Msumi's eyes as she narrowed them in doubt. Without saying a word, she turned sharply and strode past him, her boots striking the ground with deliberate force. Pivoting to face Cochran, she demanded an explanation for concealing Genta's whereabouts. Her tone was icy, warning him to stay out of her way. Cochran lowered his gaze, visibly anxious and torn under her piercing stare. Silence stretched densely between them, charged with their conflicting loyalties. Msumi surveyed Cochran with unwavering seriousness, her expression stern and unyielding. He nervously voiced his fears that their master might abandon them once their mission was accomplished. Her wing struck him sharply, causing him to recoil instinctively. With a fierce glare, she warned that any further betrayal would be met with severe consequences. Alone in the quiet woods, Cochran's face betrayed his sorrow and inner conflict. Msumi strode away through the snow, determined to proceed alone. Her footprints disrupted the pristine white surface of the landscape. The thick, snow-laden forest remained hushed after their confrontation. Meanwhile, Genta pressed onward through the woods, his tail trailing behind. A distant howl of a wolf echoed through the trees, a sound he appeared to recognize. He listened intently as the call of an or vibrated in the air around him. Overhead, a dark wing of an enormous eagle sliced through the sky. The eagle swooped down swiftly and snatched Genta from the ground once more. Genta looked up, a mixture of surprise and irritation flickering across his face at his repeated capture. Msumi landed beside him abruptly, forcefully bringing him down onto the forest floor. She quickly pinned him with her legs, holding him down securely. Sitting atop his back, she coolly demanded to know why he was trying to flee. Struggling beneath her, he snapped that he had no desire to meet another dragon. She pointed out the irony, noting she was eager to see him, yet he was intent on escaping. He grumbled about her weight, angrily demanding she get off. Leaning closer, her long hair obscured her face as she ignored his complaints. She turned her head slightly, a gentle, almost knowing smile touching her lips. Her hand held his face, noting the scratches from his earlier encounter with wolves. Her expression softened as she remarked that he still had her eyes. Genta was briefly taken aback by her unusual comment and tender gesture. He renewed his frantic efforts to break free, shouting that he wouldn't go anywhere with her. His scaly tail thrashed, wrapping around her leg as he cried out in pain. His claws dug into the earth, and he yelled in agony. Msumi leaned in closer, her voice trembling as she called his name, her words hurting with emotion. Suddenly, a thunderous roar rent the air, echoing through the clearing from an unseen source. Msumi jerked her head up, tense with alarm, her tail whipping wildly. Her eagle flapped its wings nervously, sensing the presence of a formidable new threat. A towering white tiger named Hakare was held fast, fiercely roaring in defiance. Above, a mighty black eagle swooped down, declaring that the dragon was its prey. Hakare snarled boldly, asserting that the boy belonged only to her. The two powerful creatures faced each other with growls, defending their respective claims. The eagle's gaze was sharp and unwavering as it assessed the tiger. Nearby, a smaller eagle watched anxiously, addressing the larger one as Big Sis and warning that challenging the tiger was unwise and that retreat was advisable. The larger eagle, Msumi, hesitated briefly, her expression conflicted yet resolute as she noted the approach of the full moon, fearing they might not reach safety in time. From a lofty perch, a majestic eagle with keen eyes surveyed the forest below. A young boy, dirt-streaked and exhausted, rested with a thick rope around his neck. The great bird lowered its head, displaying its formidable beak in a close-up shot. Two eagles quietly soared through a vast, cloudy sky, silently observing the world beneath. Near the enormous white tiger, the boy stood calmly, the beast growling deep and menacingly. His hand rested gently on the tiger's head as he watched the creature's still menacing stance. With his reptilian tail visible, the boy embraced the tiger, which purred contentedly. In a sunlit clearing, the tiger lay peacefully, the boy still holding it close by his coiled tail. Their quiet companionship was unexpectedly serene, with the boy nestling into the willing beast. The majestic tiger nudged the boy's head affectionately, who responded with calm acceptance. Beside them, a woman with a striped, scaled tail sat, her tail curled around the boy. A long-haired woman with pointed ears and a tiger tail looked down at him, their faces mere inches apart, sharing a moment of intimate quiet. She playfully nudged him, asking how he was doing, her two distinct tails visible. Resting her head on his lap, the boy asked how she had found him. Nearby, a cheerful young man with a feline tail sat, greeting them with a bright smile and a casual wave. Suddenly, the dragon boy's gentle expression twisted into silent anger. He questioned the presence of the newcomer with frenzied agitation, while the woman tried to soothe him. The scene shifted to a vast, desolate landscape of rolling hills under a cloudy sky. The scene revealed the boy hanging from a tree by his own tail, limp and helpless. Below, the woman and the new arrival spoke quietly as the boy dangled above. Ogle asked Hakare if she truly had no intention of eating the boy. Hatrae responded sharply, her face showing surprise at his question. Her expression softened as she explained their bond. Against the cloudy sky, she simply stated that their relationship was one of cooperative hunting. He spotted prey from above, while she chased on the ground. Ogle's face lit up with understanding, realizing that keeping the boy alive significantly boosted their chances of success. Suddenly, a sharp slap shattered the tender moment, echoing loud and clear through the trees. In an instant, they transformed into tigers. Hakari snarled fiercely at Ogle, who questioned her sudden hostility. Her tiger roar was fierce, warning him to keep his distance. The boy remained immobilized, as if Ogle's sudden action had caused this, though Hakari denied any fault. The two large felines faced each other, Hakari stalking away while the boy's tail dangled between them. He sat on the ground, while Hakari and Ogle observed him intently. His scaly tail rested in his lap, and Hakari nuzzled him affectionately, prompting Ogle to watch with a slightly bewildered expression. Breaking the dense silence, the boy declared he was hungry. The scene shifted to a vast, star-studded sky over a landscape cloaked in clouds. Ogle showed genuine surprise, asking if the boy had truly lost the ability to fly. Hakare appeared surprised and asked if she was supposed to do otherwise. At a loss for words, the boy turned away, unable to hide his irritation, and muttered a dismissive, "Whatever," leaving his friends puzzled. His gaze then fell upon the remains of a massive creature, the fruit of their recent hunt. Still bound, he urged Hakare to loosen the ropes. He mentioned he couldn't reach the knot around his neck, prompting Ogle to suggest biting through the bindings. Hakare grabbed the rope and pulled, causing the boy to yelp in pain. Ogle noted that the ropes were tied too tightly to break easily with force, and proposed that the boy try to cut them with his claws. The thick fibers frayed as the rope finally snapped. Freed from the branch, the boy stood beside Hakare, inspecting his claws. He then focused on the binding around his tail, assuring her he would handle it. With a quick flick of his claw, he sliced through the rope, freeing his scaly tail. The severed end dropped away, freeing him entirely. He looked up at the sky, a soft, thoughtful sigh escaping him. His body began to lift effortlessly, his long tail trailing behind. Hakare and Ogle watched in amazement. From below, Hukare watches with a warm expression and a sense of pride swelling in her chest. He begins his descent, gliding smoothly alongside friends as they weave through the woods. Without warning, he speeds directly toward Hakari, wrapping his arms around her in a tender embrace. His eyes are firm with determination as he urges her to hold on tightly. Startled, she turns back, then complies, clutching him securely as they hover in midair. His powerful, elongated tail coils protectively around both of them. Ogle shouts in alarm, striving to intervene as the tail swings past sharply. She rests her hand on a gash along the dragon's scaled back, her face thoughtful as she gazes downward. The dragon lowers its massive head with gentle, fluid movements. Hawker looks up unexpectedly, startled as they start their controlled descent. Slowly, they drift downward through the darkened sky. The dragon coils its long body around her in a protective embrace, wrapping her in safety. Hikari floats weightlessly on the creature's back, her hair fanning out like a halo in space. Its eye shines with a profound, quiet kindness, radiating gentle care. Their intertwined forms descend together, a single entity from the vast heavens. Supporting her fragile frame, he helps her push forward. Eventually, they emerge from the woods into a bleak, rocky expanse. Perched atop a towering mountain, an ancient dragon awaits the arrival of visitors. Its massive, time-worn eye, brimming with centuries of hidden knowledge, fixates on the weary travelers as they draw nearer. The siblings push forward with unwavering resolve, eager to reach the silent, colossal creature. Eventually, the sister succumbs and collapses against her formidable eagle-like companion. Her brother kneels before the dragon, bowing his head in deep reverence. He makes a passionate plea for the creature's sacred blood, seeking its favor. A girl with spiky hair dismisses his concern casually, calling the situation merely a pickle. Meanwhile, the eagle companion lowers its head in quiet understanding of the heavy tension. The man, overwhelmed by despair, feels hope slipping away. He makes a heartfelt plea, explaining, "The blood is for his sister." Hikato questions why he should even consider helping them, pointing out the drop of blood touches her tongue, and immediately, her pallor begins to improve. Color returns to her cheeks as she gasps, revitalized. Her brother expresses deep gratitude, which Hikato accepts with indifference. She praises Cochrane for his improving hunting skills, attributing his progress to her teachings, though she jokes that he's still the best. Their younger brother excitedly shouts both of their names, eager to show off his own achievements. High above, an eagle soars through the clear sky. The three siblings, once united long ago, stand together amid their shared history. The youngest brother eagerly urges Cochrane to admire his craftsmanship. A close-up reveals the intricate embroidery on his cloak. On the ground lies the pale, lifeless body of a young dragon, which the siblings believe fell from its nest. The youngest brother recalls tales about a dragon's blood and an immortal heart. Misumi skeptically dismisses these legends as fanciful stories. Cochrane recounts a darker rumor that eagles often die after eating dragon flesh. Two eagles are seen feasting on the dragon's remains, one declaring the creature's flesh to be truly extraordinary. Beneath the bright full moon, a muffled groan of pain echoes through the still night, breaking the silence with a reminder of the mysteries and dangers lurking in their world. In a quiet clearing within the woods, one sibling questioned his two alien friends about their distress. A young woman hugged herself, confusion and fear flickering in her eyes as dark patterns spread across her skin. Her brother Cochrane, cloaked and hooded, looked at the strange marks extending over his face with concern. The sister admitted she knew little, only that her insides ached intensely. Their other brother observed them carefully, sweat forming beads on his brow, face etched with worry. Cochrane, the middle brother, felt a nauseous throbbing in his neck and released a sharp groan of pain. Distressed, the sister called to him, voice trembling with fear. Her horror deepened as she remembered a terrible truth. They had eaten a dragon. The revelation hung heavy among them as they exchanged anxious glances, the weight of their grim reality settling in. Far above the tangled trees, a girl with spiky hair and a serpentine tail floated serenely. She watched the suffering siblings without concern, dismissing their plight as foolishness. Cochrane argued that their special meal had long ago occurred and should have no effect now. Chai explained that dragon venom only activates under the light of the full moon. Cochrane bent over, coughing violently as the poison claimed him. He begged desperately for any chance to save his brothers and sister. Chai acknowledged that a solution existed but claimed she had no reason to help. Suddenly, a colossal white dragon appeared, voice roaring with hunger and command. Cochrane looked on, a mixture of guilt and resolve expressed on his face. He embraced his siblings, accepting that their suffering was his burden. Gasping for breath, he summoned his courage for the greatest sacrifice. He begged the mighty dragon to eat him, hoping to spare his family. His sister screamed his name in terrifying horror as he offered himself. The great dragon, undeterred, agreed with a deep, rumbling growl. With a sickening crunch, its jaws snapped shut around Cochrane, the brave brother. The other siblings watched in horror as he disappeared into the beast's maw, for a fleeting moment visible through its talons. The dragon swallowed its meal, dark feathers drifting from its mouth like falling ash. A bone-cracking sound echoed as Cochrane's sacrifice ended. Feathers of dark black slipped through the air, settling around the two remaining siblings, who clung to each other in grief. High above, Chi licked her lips, savoring the scene vicariously. She then prepared to address the survivors, announcing they now belonged to her. Under the light of the full moon, she waved cheerfully, welcoming them to their new fate, a haunting smile on her face. Later, the white dragon rested in a deep chasm, its massive form looming over the two surviving siblings standing on the cliff edge. The brother questioned whether they could endure living under their ruthless new master. His sister retorted, asking if they considered their sacrifice, saving their lives, an act of cruelty. He accused their master of acting on whim, treating them as mere playthings, to which she snapped angrily, telling him to leave and never return. Her words struck him like a blow, and he appeared utterly stunned and wounded by her harshness. An eagle soared into the vast sky, its wings beating strongly into the distance. The brother watched it ascend, eyes distant and filled with sorrow. His shoulders sagged under the weight of defeat, his expression one of deep resignation and despair. Whispering about their cursed fate, he gazes impassively at the great dragon's eye beneath him. Amidst a sun-dappled forest, a woman with a tiger tail sits quietly beside a serpentine dragon. In her feline form, she playfully smacks at the resting creature, which is peacefully lying with its feathered head softly pressed to the ground. Her paw reaches up, tapping the dragon's jaw with a gentle swipe, causing a faint sound as claws glide over scales. Unexpectedly, a single pearlescent fang slips free and falls to the earth. The tiger notices something dropped by the dragon. Startled, the dragon inquires whether her claw caused the loss, worried about how to replace the missing tooth. In response, she shifts into her human form, wearing a contrite expression, admitting her carelessness and that her claws just scratched it. Kneeling, she examines the fallen fang, catching the dragon's gaze. Playfully, she scratches its snout, jesting that she merely teased it. She clarifies that the fang was just an old fragment of scale, downplaying the loss. With mild irritation, she dismisses the dragon's concern, her mood softening as she lifts the tiny, luminous tooth. The dragon silently accepts her words, its unease gradually easing. Holding the small shining fang, she murmurs about learning something new. A gentle smile appears as she thought of her companion. Watching her, the dragon's earlier worry begins to fade, its calm restored. She admires the glittering tooth, cradling it delicately between her fingers, whispering about how beautiful her little treasure is. Her gaze lifts upward, and she softly comments on the fang's beauty. The dragon observes her, a quiet thought passing through its mind, as if reflecting on her simple act of admiration. Turning back to the dragon's body, she gently touches a particularly sensitive spot on its neck. The creature shudders with a pained grunt, prompting her to ask whether that area still hurts and advising caution when touching it. She notes that this part remains quite tender, cautioning against further contact. From a distance, a young man with a reptilian tail watches the scene intently, his expression distant and thoughtful as he surveys the scene. Feeling his contemplative mood, the woman casts him a glance. Suddenly, he leaps away with determination, leaving her to wonder about his purpose. He strides along a path, his tail trailing behind him, a look of firm resolve on his face. Glancing at his tail, he recognizes that their situation isn't ideal. Sharp claws scratch against stone as he rides the tiger toward a dark cavern entrance. He observes that the cavern is too deep to explore alone and asks the tiger if it knows of any long-lived creatures dwelling nearby. He repeats the question to a cluster of bats, which only echo the word long, providing no useful information. They move deeper into the darkness, curious about the numerous caves and holes. The tiger's face tightens into an intense expression of focus. The young man decides they've traveled far enough and suggests a break at a nearby resting spot. The tiger pressed against him, emitting a soft, affectionate purr as they found a peaceful spot to rest within the darkness of the cavern. Suddenly, the tiger's purring ceased, replaced by a strained wheeze. It lowered itself cautiously, hissing defensively at an unseen threat lurking nearby. Beside it stood a young boy, whose tail resembled that of a reptile, as he hissed into the shadows. From the oppressive gloom, a colossal face emerged, ancient and heavily wrinkled, full of age-old wisdom. Within this underground tomb, a giant turtle, its neck serpentine and elongated, loomed over them. The white tiger moved forward with a low, warning growl resonating from deep within its chest. Up close, the turtle's eye revealed a profound depth, reflecting a lifetime's worth of ancient knowledge. The boy stepped nearer, hopeful that this might be the legendary creature he long sought. The old being slowly blinked its weighty eyelid, evoking a sense of solemn patience. Impatient, the boy questioned whether venturing here was a mistake. Resting his hand on the creature's shell, he silently pleaded for guidance on how to prolong his life. He pressed gently, wondering if the ancient eye even registered his words. To his surprise, the eye suddenly flicked open, acknowledging his presence. The creature, speaking slowly and deliberately, commented on the strange situation. Suddenly, a woman with a tiger's tail appeared, warning the boy to keep his distance. Her tiger form roared fiercely, cautioning him against becoming her next meal. Unfazed, the boy cheekily replied that his tiger friend was a herbivore, feeding only on grass. The giant turtle emitted a soft sound, intrigued by the boy's unexpected claim. It seemed to ponder the unusual diet of his companion. Sharing a similar preference, the turtle explained that it too enjoyed fruits, akin to the boy's tiger's vegetarian habits. At that moment, a beam of light illuminated the cavern, symbolizing clarity and understanding. The turtle then revealed that prolonging life was an arduous, world-changing pursuit. Frustrated, the boy snapped that such philosophical talk was not what he sought. He told his companion to forget about it if she lacked useful information. Around them, bats fluttered and chirped in the gloom, their wings whispering in the darkness. The creature corrected him, revealing it was not a human elder, but a dragon. Small rodent-like creatures scurried by as the realization sank in. The dragon turtle bid a peaceful farewell to departing spirits of other beings, suggesting that this place served as a sanctuary for restful finality. The boy asked if this place was truly the resting ground for many creatures. The ancient being confirmed that it was indeed a haven where life could be entrusted with serenity. Turning back to the boy, it posed an unfinished question. The woman beside it completed the thought, asking if he intended to bond with the tiger. The boy was taken aback, fiercely arguing that their different species made such a connection impossible. The dragon turtle reflected quietly on the implications of his denial, then demanded to know why extending her life mattered so much. Left speechless, the woman hesitated, unable to give an immediate answer. The boy, troubled, admitted he didn't know what his true purpose was either. He accused her of being just as lost, often acting without full understanding. The dragon turtle's presence underscores the irony of not recognizing one's own confusion. Both the boy and the woman emit quiet sounds of deep contemplation. The ancient creature poses a single, straightforward question, seeking to uncover the core of their quest. Then it notes that their uncertain responses are perfectly aligned. The boy appears visibly puzzled by this unexpected revelation. As the enormous head of the dragon turtle begins to retract into its ornate shell, A gnarled hand clutching a wooden staff emerges from within. A wise old man appears, inviting them to follow him further into the cavern's depths. The group trails behind this guide through shadowed, twisting rocky passages. The elderly figure moves slowly and with effort, shuffling ahead at a deliberate pace. Impatient, the boy yawns, tired of their sluggish progress, and floats beside the guide, asking if they can go faster. Startled by his sudden approach, the old man stumbles slightly in surprise. The boy's gaze is suddenly drawn forward, and his face transforms into one of pure wonder. In awe, he whispers at the sight of a massive dragon skeleton towering before them. The gigantic bones of the serpent-like creature rest undisturbed in a grassy clearing within the cave. A close-up reveals the vast empty socket of the skull's eye, perched atop the remains. Curious, the boy wonders why a dragon is buried here. The woman looks on thoughtfully, her expression tinged with sadness. She notes that it is simply another body laid to rest. The old man gestures toward a nearby wolf skeleton. The boy is confused by the sight of the smaller bones amid the strange gathering. The old man studies the bones carefully, preparing to share their long-forgotten story. His face carries the weight of ancient sorrow. He begins recounting how a gentle dragon and an old wolf came to this place together. The dragon had desperately tried to find a way to prolong the wolf's life. The dragon turtle questions whether this urgency was the reason for their hurried arrival. The tired wolf calmly accepts its fate. Resting on the cavern floor, the ancient turtle simply asks if the wolf is weary from its journey. The wolf replies that this quiet spot feels like the perfect place for a final rest. Yet the dragon pleads with the turtle for any wisdom it might hold. The wise being advises the distressed dragon to find peace and let nature take its course. It explains that the wolf's need is to be left undisturbed in its sleep. The grieving dragon wraps its long-scaled body around its ailing friend. A monk-like figure stands solemnly at the cavern's entrance. The old man raises a vital question. Why would a dragon want to save a wolf? The ancient dragon admits it doesn't understand fully. It only knows that losing her was unbearable. It recalls their lifelong friendship, which had begun in childhood. To the immortal creature, time seemed fleeting. Suddenly, she aged rapidly, and the dragon felt helpless. It believed it was losing its mind, powerless to stop her inevitable decline. A faint, knowing laugh escapes the lips of the fading wolf. The dragon reflected that the wolf always longed for what was forever out of reach, like departing now. Could not comprehend such acceptance of inevitable endings. As the wolf stirred, its form shimmered and shifted before the dragon's eyes. An elderly woman then asked if the dragon disliked her aged appearance. Gently, the dragon took her fragile hand, reassuring her that her looks mattered little. They embraced warmly, the dragon revealing its boundless, unconditional love. Yet, even this immense devotion could not pause the relentless march of time. The dragon wept in pain, mourning that her life ended far too soon. Rain poured down the mountains, and the world seemed to mourn with the dragon. An ancient turtle watched silently as nature mirrored the dragon's profound grief. A new figure, with a draconic tail, moved through this sacred land. A young dragon child asked if they could stay a while, and the turtle granted permission to remain in the revered sanctuary. Their final resting place was a peaceful pond adorned with floating lotus blossoms. Nearby, the skeletal remains of the wolf rested calmly beneath a single lotus, while the dragon's bones were forever intertwined with its beloved companions. Alone, the dragon wandered past sun-bleached bones of other beings, spending time beside a meditating monk, an isolated figure amidst vast emptiness. It drank from a river, utterly alone in the wilderness, its existence fraught with danger and endless struggle. The dragon faced two fierce leopards in a lonely battle for survival. Its great eye closed quietly, heavy with sorrow, as it roared in mourning for a comrade lost to the passage of years. A flashback revealed their childhood, a dragon boy walking away, and a wolf girl beside him. The dragon felt powerless, helplessly watching her grow older while it remained unchanged. The white wolf lay motionless, a faint, ghostly chuckle escaping its lips. The dragon gazed downward, its sanity waning at the sight of its dying friend. It pondered how the wolf always yearned for the unattainable, like death itself. Suddenly, the wolf's form shimmered anew, transforming into a fragile, elderly woman. She asked if the dragon resented her aging appearance. With tender reassurance, the dragon told her that her looks did not matter. Its humanoid hand gently clasped hers, a silent sign of deep acceptance. They embraced tightly, two lonely souls in a starry void. In the shadows, the dragon revealed a love beyond time and shape. The word, but lingered, a reminder that love cannot halt death's advance. Rain cascaded as the ancient turtle observed the depths of the dragon's sorrow. The dragon lifted its long neck and let out a silent wail of grief. In another time, a boy with two tails approached the old turtle. He asked if they could stay, and the turtle quietly nodded. Near a tranquil pond, the skeletons of the dragon and wolf lay entwined, a testament to their eternal bond. The narrative offers a glimpse into the dragon's lonely existence after losing its beloved, highlighting a journey filled with enduring love, sorrow, and the silent passage of eternity. In a tranquil moment, a meditating monk sits beside a river, quietly drinking from its waters. Suddenly, Elard's thunderous roar shatters the peace, drawing the attention of a massive dragon facing two hostile figures. The landscape around them is littered with skeletal remains of creatures long fallen. As the years go by, the monk, now more aged, comes upon the dragon, which is grievously wounded and bleeding. Ignoring the monk's gentle questions, the defeated creature drags its broken body away, eventually collapsing among a heap of bones. Its journey has come to an end. In its final moments, the dragon perceives a tragic yet simple truth. Survival was beyond its reach alone. Standing over the dying creature, the monk speaks softly with compassion. He mentions that the wolf woman would have surely teased the dragon, bringing a faint smile to its fractured face, as it imagines her playful jabs. Soon, the dragon slips away, its skeleton joining the graveyard of fallen beings. Meanwhile, time shifts to a different era, where a new generation begins. A monk now walks alongside a boy with a dragon's tail and a woman with a tiger's tail. As they bid good night beneath a starry sky, the boy appears troubled. He questions the woman about her devotion to a wolf, insisting that it's not her place to interfere. The woman explains that dragons are attracted to beings with short lifespans. She reflects that the closer two creatures become, the more painful it is to part from each other. A memory surfaces, revealing the original dragon and wolf children walking away together, their bonds unbroken. The monk observes the woman and notes her contemplative expression, telling her that she resembles the dragon from the past. He highlights her keen interest in the boy, noticing the subtle affection behind her gaze. Flustered, she wonders aloud if her feelings might be love, while the old monk admits he rarely understands such emotions either. He recalls that the original wolf, despite its pain, always seemed to carry a joyful spirit. Laughter echoes softly in the monk's mind as the boy sits gloomily nearby, leaning against a massive, sleeping white tiger, visibly annoyed. Suddenly, the form of an ancient turtle appears, silently watching over the boy's distress. The boy mumbles his frustration at having witnessed their story, wishing he could unsee it all. He tries to reassure himself that these old creatures are unrelated to him, yet he admits he wouldn't care so deeply if that were true. Irritated, he presses himself against the warm side of the tiger to find comfort. They continue westward along a path that seems endless, the boy recalling the turtle's words about its eternal journey. The turtle once explained that their first pair chose to rest here. Its voice echoes again, asking if the boy wishes to proceed further. The turtle offers a final piece of advice: to cherish these fleeting moments. Promising to move on, the boy and the woman leave the sacred site behind. As they walk, his scaly tail instinctively coils around her waist, a gesture of connection. Startled by her sudden stop, he quickly retracts his tail. Embarrassment fills him as she questions his reaction, to which he feigns ignorance. She points out that his tail was indeed wrapped around her, and he turns away, claiming he has no idea what she's talking about. Yet, beneath his bluster, he feels a stirring desire to act, that longing that refuses to be suppressed. Once again, his tail gently wraps around her, this time with deliberate intent. He makes a daring, unfinished promise of what he might do if she interferes. Turning to face him, she offers a soft, relieved smile, saying that his gesture gives her a sense of comfort and safety. Surprised, he gazes at her as her fingers trace the tail curled around her. She notices that he often does this and wonders what it truly means. A memory surfaces, an old conversation where a young dragon and a wolf discuss the same gesture. The wolf girl explains that dragons often use this action to show their feelings. As this chapter concludes, it marks a new stage in their journey. On a vast heath, a small herd of gazelles peacefully grazes. A tiny cheetah cub tries to stalk them but quickly realizes they are too swift to catch. The herd bounds away effortlessly, leaving the frustrated cub behind. The little predator squeaks in disappointment at its failed attempt. Suddenly, a magnificent striped tiger leaps out from the grass with graceful power. In a swift movement, it bites into a gazelle, securing its meal. Hidden nearby, the cheetah cub watches in awe as the predator claims its prey. Its surprise transforms into admiration, igniting a spark of resolve. The scene ends with the tiger and cheetah running together across the open, sunlit heath. In the wild, the tiger crouches over its fresh kill, tearing into the flesh with fierce focus. Its golden eye gleams with predatory intent. Approaching boldly, the small cheetah cub is unafraid. The tiger growls as a warning but allows the cub to share the meal. Both feast with fierce determination, devouring the meat in unison. Flashbacks reveal the tiger forcefully shooing a hyena away from a carcass. The tiger then confronts the cheetah, demanding to know its purpose. The cub boldly replies that as it grows larger, it needs to eat more. The tiger questions the relevance, but the cub insists it must eat well to become strong. It emphasizes that good nutrition and exercise are vital for growth. Taken aback, the tiger's face twitches with surprise at the cub's boldness. Meanwhile, in a quiet clearing, a young man with elf-like ears sits meditating beneath a majestic tree. He raises his gaze to admire the towering branches before turning to the cheetah cub. The man asks if the cub's goal is to become strong. The cub nods eagerly and then asks whether the man is very powerful. It admires his muscular arms and impressive physique, exclaiming that he is incredibly cool. Later, a small cheetah cub clumsily slides down a steep rocky slope, claws slipping. Suddenly, a massive tiger beneath emits a startled growl as something lands on its head. With a gentle thud, the cub hits the tiger's crown and pauses, exhausted after its effort. As it climbs higher, the tiger encourages it to hold on tighter. Reaching the summit, the cub looks out proudly over the expansive landscape. Underneath, the tiger lies comfortably in the tall grass, ready for whatever challenge comes next. The small predator begins to descend as the tiger commands it to climb again, hinting at ongoing training. After a strenuous session, the young cheetah sits alone beneath a tree, contemplating its progress. She looks down at her scraped, grimy hands, evidence of her relentless effort. A determined smile spreads across her face as she clenches her fists, reigniting her resolve to grow stronger. Peering from behind a tree, she observes her mentor, a peaceful tiger resting nearby. Oga, the mighty feline, lies tranquilly in the grass, indifferent to her gaze. In a tender moment, her cheetah cub nuzzles affectionately against the larger tiger. With gentle paws, Oga lifts the cub, holding it close in a warm, protective embrace. A soft, contented purr escapes him as he savors the serenity of the moment. Together, they lounge beneath a leafy canopy, forming an unlikely yet harmonious family unit. Underneath a canopy of stars, a gnarled tree stands silently guiding the night's watch. The cheetah cub stirs in the darkness, emitting a faint sound as it awakens. It cautiously steps away from the sleeping tiger, its eyes glowing softly in the shadows. Near the starlit plains, A pack of hyenas rests in the tall grass, their eyes observing the scene with quiet interest. Hidden among the blades, the cheetah cub watches them intently, its gaze bright and focused. Her face displays fierce determination as she prepares for an inevitable confrontation. A sudden rustle among the grass draws the attention of two hyenas, who lift their heads with annoyed glances. They notice the cub growling from the shadows, questioning its presence. The cheetah snarls, accusing the hyenas of stealing her prey and attacking her mother. The hyenas exchange unimpressed looks, skeptically dismissing her claims. Their leader coldly remarks that only one cub escaped the chaos. With her tiny body tense, the cub vows she's here for revenge. The hyena leader lectures her, claiming that prey belongs to the strongest. A brutal memory flashes through her mind. Her mother's pack closing in, chaos erupting as they were torn apart. The hyena's harsh voices remind her that unprotected cubs cannot survive in the wild. Vivid flashes reveal her tiny siblings being cornered and killed by the relentless pack. The hyena leader mocks her, pointing out she was the only one to escape, accusing her of abandoning her family and fleeing alone. She stammers a denial, insisting that's not how it happened. The hyenas continue their cruel mental assault, praising her survival. Her mind echoes with the word strong, the taunt reverberating painfully within. A flashback shows her as a frightened, tiny cub facing the murderous hyenas. Their sneering faces reflect the cruelty she once endured. An anguished sound escapes her as their words hit deep. Just when her spirit begins to crack, a thunderous roar cuts through the night. A massive tiger rises on his hind legs, a fierce silhouette of pure fury. Oga charges into the clearing, positioning his formidable frame between the cub and the hyenas. The cheetah calls out desperately for her protector. Oga issues a commanding warning, telling the hyenas to reconsider their actions. The hyenas tentatively watch, their confidence wavering before this daunting new opponent. They speculate whether he's a lion, but note his lack of a mane. With a thunderous roar, Oga silences the chatter, daring them to challenge him. He stands unyielding beside the cheetah, his expression resolute and unbreakable. Kulai, the leading hyena, asserts that his pack avoids pointless conflicts. He instructs them to withdraw, turning their backs on the impending confrontation. Oga and Muku watch silently as the group recedes into the distance, their figures fading into the horizon. Muku gazes in bewilderment, questioning the strange behavior of those hyenas. As the animals retreat, a smaller hyena glances back briefly, curiosity sparked in its eyes. Under the starry sky, Muku sits alone, her face etched with sorrow and guilt. A gentle touch brushes her head, a comforting gesture from her protector. In his human form, Oga praises her for her bravery in facing the hyenas. Muku shakes her head slowly, her voice filled with self-reproach, confessing she lacks true courage. She admits to feeling deep shame, believing herself a coward for fleeing alone. Regret lingers vividly within her. She desires that a fight might somehow grant her forgiveness. Oga asks whose forgiveness she seeks, reminding her of her family's tragic fate. He points out that if she hadn't run, her entire lineage might have been lost. Perhaps her family now appreciates her survival, he suggests. Muku considers this perspective, repeating the word grateful with wonder. He urges her to live fully, now, for their sake as well. A memory surfaces of her mother playing happily with her and her siblings. Tears fill Muku's eyes as her guilt begins to ease. Turning to Oga, she silently agrees, embracing this new understanding. She vows to live well, not just for herself but for everyone she cherishes. Later, Muku asks Oga to teach her how to hunt. Her spirit rekindled, Oga admits he was tough earlier merely to scare away the hyenas. She eagerly expresses her desire to hunt in cooperation with a friend, trapping prey together and delivering the final, stunning blow. Oga appears momentarily stunned by her genuine request. Muku then declares she has no intention of staying long, catching him off guard. He questions if she truly plans to leave, and she replies affirmatively, without hesitation. She explains her purpose is to pursue her goals. Her resolve is clear. With a simple farewell, she prepares to depart, leaving Oga and the tiger behind. Her expression is determined. Her small frame radiates newfound strength. The tiger observes her intently, its gaze steady and inscrutable. Both animals walk side by side, the tiger warning that it cannot always protect her. It mentions that it has its own matters to attend to along the same path. Muku accepts this understanding, and together they set out on a new adventure. A fresh chapter opens, illustrating a profound and unbreakable bond between two guardians. Over a vast body of water, a serpentine dragon soars, carrying a woman across the sky. The dragon, Hekidu, asks her companion Genta if he ever grows tired of flying. She explains that maintaining her altitude requires constant effort from her powerful tail. She adds that her hands, which hold him securely, also tire from supporting the weight. A close-up reveals her grasping his draconic form firmly. With a single word, release, she lets go, her expression unreadable and distant. He plunged into the water below with a thunderous splash, abruptly halting his descent. Hovering above the surface, Hekidu gasped as she watched him sink beneath the waves. Jinta, the young man, expressed his weariness and declared he would swim the remaining distance himself. He muttered about being dropped so suddenly and remarked that she was quite heavy. Nearby, Hare, the enormous tiger, emitted a deep growl as he paddled through the water. Jenna urged the tiger to keep up and not fall behind during their journey. Hare soared above the water, his long tail streaming behind him, glancing back with a contemplative look as they moved forward. The tiger inquired about Jinta's apparent concern, but he dismissed it casually. Jinta hoped to reach the shore before night fell. As Hare continued swimming, he reassured his feline companion to alert him if she began to tire. Suddenly, ferocious forces pulled the mighty tigers into the shadowy depths. Hare let out a pained roar as he was dragged under. With a tremendous splash, he vanished beneath the water, which churned fiercely around the spot. Filled with terror, Jinta screamed out desperately for Hikari. At that moment, a striking serpentine dragon dove swiftly into the darkness to aid them. Beneath the surface, a colossal crocodile had clamped onto Hikari's tail. Hekidu, the serpentine guardian, sank her sharp teeth into the crocodile's thick neck. With a furious, thunderous growl, she fought to force the predator to release her friend. The dragon strained against the beast, but it refused to relinquish its hold. Its cold, reptilian eye stared impassively as it prepared a deadly strike. The crocodile initiated a brutal death roll, thrashing Hikari through the water helplessly. Hekidu fought with all her might, trying to counter the ferocious spin. Hikari's body was violently tossed, a helpless prey caught in the predator's grip. The crocodile gurgled menacingly as it intensified its savage twisting. Its cold, slit eye revealed a ruthless, instinct-driven nature. The tiger cried out in pain as the crocodile's teeth sank deeper. Hikari's limp form drifted away as the crocodile finally released its grip in exhaustion. Hekidu shifted tactics, piercing the crocodile's hide with her sharp snout. Freed momentarily, she swiftly seized the injured tiger in her claws. Her powerful jaws tore into the crocodile's back in a display of ferocity. The dragon recoiled, panting heavily, trembling from the brutal effort. A massive splash announced her final strike as Hekidu ripped a large chunk from the crocodile's flesh, ending the threat. Exhausted from the fierce underwater confrontation, Peekaboo emitted a guttural sound. Her tail whipped through the water as she surfaced for air, carrying the wounded Hikari. Jinta called out anxiously for Hikari, his voice strained with concern. In her human guise, Hekidu coughed violently, clutching her chest as pain gripped her. The mighty dragon remained vigilant, her piercing gaze sharp and unwavering. Her dragon form seemed to urge her onward, alerting her to a new threat emerging from the shadows. Suddenly, a colossal crocodile burst to the surface, its eyes gleaming with mockery as it taunted Hekidu. It dared her to abandon the tiger she carried in exchange for its own meal. hinting cruelly that she might let it devour Hakkar to ease her burden. Without hesitation, the dragon spread her wings and took to the sky, but the crocodile's voice echoed after her, filled with scorn. It questioned whether she could truly outrun danger with her fresh injury, reflecting a cruel hope that she and her companions might fall and become easy prey. Meanwhile, the boy called out Hecate's name, concern evident as he placed his hand gently on her scaled back. Her dragon self urged her to ignore the taunts and concentrate solely on escape. She propelled herself forward, carrying not only the boy but also the wounded tiger toward a distant island, their silhouette a dark streak streaking across the sky. Her rapid flight was a blur, her serpentine body gliding with determined grace through the air, desperately seeking refuge. As their wings strained against the vast expanse of water below, Hecate's breaths grew ragged from exertion. The boy, exhausted and trembling, lay atop her back, feeling each powerful wing beat and the heavy burden she bore. His hand rested gently on her neck, silently sharing the weight of their shared peril. Her eye gleamed with unwavering resolve as they neared their destination, granting her a moment of gentle contact, a tender nudge from her dragon head amid the chaos. With one final, frantic burst of speed, they headed toward the distant shoreline. The endless sea stretched before them, a vast, empty realm blending sky and water into a single horizon. Beneath the surface, the enormous crocodile lurked, watching their escape with palpable frustration. It clicked its tongue harshly, irritated that its attempt at an easy meal had failed. Its powerful tail swung furiously against rocks, while its massive claw dug into the ground, eyes fixed intently on the fleeing figures. Finally, the tired dragon descended onto the rugged shore, her body heaving heavily from the effort. Concerned, her human companion asked about her condition, speaking softly and breathlessly. The boy, eager yet cautious, moved swiftly to evaluate Hecate's injuries. Carefully, he noted a deep, dark wound on her upper thigh, an ugly gash bleeding profusely. He instructed her to lift her legs for a clearer view and then leaned in to gently lick the wound, attempting to clean it and promote healing. She winced at the pain, a quiet groan escaping her lips, but he was determined, insisting that a good cleanse would aid her recovery. Her expression betrayed her discomfort, yet there was a strange understanding in her gaze. The boy reassured her, continuing his unusual treatment with gentle care. Kneeling beside her, he pressed his face close to the injury, tending to the dark, bleeding wound. As the poison from the wound began to affect him, he cried out in pain, warning of the toll it was taking. Despite the hardship, he pressed on, driven by a mix of compassion and resolve to help his wounded friend. She grimaces, biting her thumb to suppress a cry of pain. In a rocky corner, both of them scream in unison, sharing their suffering. Her hand grips the loose dirt, knuckles blanching from the intensity of her torment. Gasping for breath, her body tenses under the weight of the cruel treatment she endures. The boy pulls back, streaks of dark blood smeared across his mouth, claiming it hurts. She reassures him that the bleeding has stopped but advises him to stay still. His gaze drops to the ground, fist clenched tightly, his face a mixture of conflict and distress. Sensing his inner turmoil, she gently asks what's wrong. He steps away, mumbling that he feels like a burden. A subtle, knowing smile flickers on his lips as she questions his worries. Then, suddenly he rushes back, his movements swift and filled with emotion. In a desperate gesture, he enfolds her in an embrace and softly kisses her forehead. She closes her eyes, accepting his comfort with quiet resignation. He pulls back slightly, a blend of sorrow and resolve on his face. He explains that although many may hunt her, none will dare approach her now. Their eyes meet as he asks if she understands the reason behind this. Confused and vulnerable, she seeks clarification. A confident smile reveals his sharp fangs as he states it's because she is with him. As he reaches for her, she hesitates, questioning her role in all this. He teasingly tells her to recover quickly so she can protect him. Continuing his jest, he suggests it's so nobody else will bite him. She listens, her expression softening, tinged with tired sadness and understanding. Her gaze drifts to his serpentine tail, which begins to writhe and reshape itself. He dismisses the change, assuring her there is nothing to worry about. His form slowly transforms into a colossal dragon, towering beside her. The great creature's voice rumbles gently as it urges her to rest now. Its long, scaled body coils protectively around her slight frame. Its feathered tail sweeps through the air, forming a living shield. The massive head of the dragon looms nearby, offering a silent promise of safety. Its ancient, wise eye watches over her as she finally relaxes within its coils. The dragon insists that its pain is insignificant while she rests peacefully.